Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper of Viperland, and I am back here after a week off, a forced week off because of Optimum Online, with Chaos Child. So we had just started down the Kazuki route. We saw the whole trying to summon everything but the kitchen sink on the roof, summoning a portal device that apparently ripped her to shreds. And, you know, then we left. Also, hey Potions and Ramen, how you both doing today? Hope everyone's doing well. You know, well, good luck. It's there, but they all should have equal chances, but like we all know RNG likes to not have equal chances. That's just how it be. So yeah, this is our second of the endings. We do technically have a few more after this. I don't know what Desire Sensors really is. Yeah. So Excalibur. I could have added all of those lines, but I felt like one was the perfect one. And had to be Excalibur. Had to be Excalibur. You're never going to get it, Ramen. Alright, I'm going to try one and then we'll actually get going. Nope, you're never going to get it. It doesn't exist, clearly. Shortly afterward, Kazuki and I had fled the school. I couldn't walk through Shibuya
useless
in blood-covered clothes, and I wanted to stay out of sight. As I wondered what to do, Kazuki pulled me by the hand. My place. Come, maybe.
Kazuki.
I didn't ask why her Japanese was so weird. Like, I put it together. He's smart, he can figure it out. Where was her house? What if her family found me? I didn't have the energy left to ask. Oh man, let's be honest, there's no way she's got a whole bunch of family there that's just happy. Oh, the pyrokinetic chick who was after us. She was after us, she touched the portal device, and the teleportation animation played, but I guess when you apply that to a real living human being, bad things happen to their body. Kazuki looked exhausted and frightened. I was sure I did too. Yeah, there's no chance she's got like a happy home life. Exactly, yeah. She went to use the teleport spell, but when you try to use that in real life, physics happen and bad things. Didn't realize how nice the Hekiho student dorms were. Oh, she lives on campus. Okay. It's nothing like Alba dorm. The room did smell a little like squid. Student dorms were about a 5-minute walk from the school. Why? Why put the dorms a 5-minute walk from the school? All of this was new construction after the earthquake. So why not put the dorms on campus? Honestly, I'm gonna guess it's probably so that people don't like run back to their rooms between classes and stuff like that. I'm gonna guess that's probably... I'm guessing they actually designed it intentionally that way, so people couldn't just like run back to their rooms. Or it's inconsequential and it just happens to be 5 minutes away. Yeah. Until dawn, huh? Yeah, I had to actually stream. I was trying that grenade run. It's hard. There's a lot of upgrades you can't take because it will kill you. Who would have thought that Vampire Survivor would already have imitators that are also doing things distinctly different enough and pricing it the same way to keep people buying them? If they both end up getting regular updates, I don't know what I'm going to do with my free time. Because I won't have any. Kazuki said she lived here alone. The dorm rooms were like suites at an extended stay hotel. All rooms were private, and there was no dorm mother to make meals or do anything else. This might be the best place to stay out of sight, huh? Except for the giant window. Besides that seems to be on street level? Oh, there seems to be like a street going above a park. I don't have the energy to go back to the RV. And I didn't want to see anyone right now. Gungeon plus Vampire Survivor. Yeah, true. Oh, you're more yourself? Cool. I like both aspects of it. I feel like, especially because Vampire Survivor has had more time and more patches, there's just so much there. But this has got a great baseline too, and if they keep updating it, that could also be good. Oh, that could be balcony? Yeah, that's true. Which would put her on like the second story. Yeah, no, that's fair. I was looking at it as like a flat plane extending out, but that definitely could be a wall going up with a railing. Yeah, no, totally. Positive delusions only? Technically, yes. But, you know, let's be honest. Yep, this is Hana's route. It's gonna be good times. Also, hey, Kaleido and Sor, how you both doing tonight? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Instead of changing or sitting on the bed, Kazuki went to a corner of the room and crouched down. I sat on the floor, a distance away from her. I brought my knees up and buried my head in them. Suddenly, I was starting to shiver. When I closed my eyes, I could see the flames and the look of the woman's face in the last second of her life. How wonderful would it be if all of that, from the pyrokinetic woman to the attack, even Kazuki talking, was just a dream? I clutched myself tighter, trying to stop myself from shaking. Now look what you did, Taku. Kazuki started to cry. I remembered reading in Cool Cat Press about how to seduce girls when they were feeling down. No. I didn't feel like trying that out at all now. Good. I couldn't come up with anything else to say to make her feel better either. I didn't have good enough social skills, and I didn't feel up to it anyway. So all I could do is pretend I didn't hear her. It's not the ideal outcome, but it's better than him trying to put the moves on her right now. But even after 30 minutes, I could still hear her crying. Then, for some reason, she slowly stood up and headed for the front door.
Kazuki,
where are you going? Doesn't tell me anything. Oh, I mean, true, but still. Depressed people. Oh yeah, it would. If they're depressed, their defenses aren't out. Something like that. Thought maybe I should call the police. Because maybe I killed her. Oh wait, calm down. Quickly ran over to her and grabbed her by the shoulders. Even if you did, what are you going to tell the police? Yeah, I was on the roof shouting for things. One of them actually magically appeared. She tried to teleport using it and she died. Police are going to be like, okay, we're going to leave now. Kazuki lost her balance and fell into my arms. I fell backwards too, and was unlucky enough to knock my back up against the low table. I writhed in pain for a minute, unable to breathe. That's gotta hurt. As I waited for the pain to subside, Kazuki slowly got off me and sat down next to me. I didn't want to use them. I knew that this might happen. It's not your fault. That was all I could say. I didn't want to think about whose fault it might be then. I mean, it's a teleporter accident, officer, I swear. As they're both covered in just blood. It wasn't my fault either. That woman was the one who attacked me. I tried to tell myself this, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Oh, scandalous. Kazuki put her hand on top of mine. Oh, we hand-holding in the first, 8 minutes? We're not even 10 minutes in. We can't have hand-holding in the first 10 minutes? Mishiro, I want you to hold my hand, I think. It was tiny and soft, and I was so happy to feel its warmth. I held her hand tightly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Do you know what? Cob. Oh, do we not have it? Bonk. Solutions. Alright, no, I'm not gonna do that. I held her hand tightly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Kazuki lowered her head and started to cry again. Both she and I were in a state of agitation right now. We needed to take some time to calm down. That felt like the best thing to do. We stayed like that for a while, holding each other's hands, and then we both fell asleep. I didn't dream. When I woke up, it was bright outside. I felt a warmth in my hand. Kazuki was still holding my hand, just like she'd been when I fell asleep.
Kazuki,
get up. Is that a whole thing of... Is that a lollipop tree? I know she likes snacks, but man. It looks like one of those displays that you see on a counter at a store of just lollipops. Along with, I don't know, 2 jars of something. There's definitely snacks up there. She must not have been fully awake yet because she didn't let go. Get up. She did a double take. She rubbed her eyes a few times, gawking at her hand in mine, then looked at my face, and then back at her hand again. This is... This is hand-holding. Her face was bright red, and she was looking downward, but she didn't let go. Would you please not react that way? I'm not used to this stuff either, you know. There's nothing in Cool Cat Press about how to deal with the situation. Yeah, I'd imagine there was nothing in a shady pickup magazine about this exact situation right here. Who would have thought? Crap, I was starting to sweat. Kazuki noticed she might think I was creepy. Trust me, she already does. Anyway, would you let go? I can't go to the bathroom like this. That's one way to break the tension, I guess. The bathroom? Imagine the poor clerk, because they're not supposed to be sold as the bundle, they're supposed to be sold individually. Imagine the poor clerk having to just, like, scan one lollipop, like, 150 times. I mean, some point-of-sale systems would let you just do, like, 150 times. Not all of them. What to do when you wake up holding hands with a girl issue? Yeah, he must have missed it. The bathroom? Finally, my hand was free. My body ached all over because I'd slept in such a weird position. And my skin still stung a little. I remember the sensation from when I'd gone swimming as a little kid and gotten sunburned. I closed my eyes and I could still see the red flames. It gave me goosebumps. I quickly shook the image out of my mind. I was about to be like, has he really not been sunburned since he was a kid? But like, no, he's not really the outdoorsy type, so... I mean, I'm not super outdoorsy either, but I've been sunburned. Not that I'd recommend it, mind you. After I used the restroom, I got Kazuki's permission to turn on the TV. It was about 9 AM. We were late for school, but I didn't feel like going anyway. I decided to skip today. There was a news program on, and just like I thought, it was talking about what had happened last night. Most of the video was of the burning cars around the front gate, though. We have an unconfirmed report that a suspicious woman entered the school as well. There are also reports that neighbors heard what sounded like several explosions inside the school grounds. There were also bloodstains and a mysterious object found on the roof. The police are investigating a possible terror link. The mysterious object must be what Kazuki had called a portal device. That thing was still there. Probably not great to leave it there, considering what it did to... Just imagine one of the cops is like, what's this? Just shreds from the inside, like, maybe not great. Or it's on the roof of the school, though. Like, what if just a random student goes up there and pokes at it? Would the police be okay if they touched it? Would they disappear like that woman? I took another look at my uniform. It had been too dark last night for me to see, but it was covered in blood. The blood had even soaked through to my undershirt. That's true. Maybe she can't get rid of something. It made me feel sick just thinking about whose blood it was. I wanted to change, but of course, there were no men's clothes in Kazuki's room. Maybe I should borrow her PC later and order some. Or take a walk to your RV and get clothes. Well, I mean, he literally got here, they cried for a while, he bumped his back on the table, and then they fell asleep against a wall. So no, I don't think he showered yet. How much did the police know anyway? Did they know who that suspicious woman was, or who she was after? If the police did find out and came to question me, they'd inevitably learn what happened after that. No, we don't know for sure that she's dead yet. Yes. Total, complete, massive blood loss tends to be survivable. And even if she was dead, that was self-defense. They wouldn't prosecute me. It's the dead of night if closed. Oh, that's true. That's true. It would be hard to go through the middle of a populated city. Still weird. Right, of course it wouldn't. At least, that's what I tried to tell myself. When I remembered what happened yesterday, it felt like my legs were going to start shaking again. But still weird that like his first impulse is, let me order it off of Amazon, as opposed to, well, Kazuki can get dressed here. If I tell her where my house is and just ask her maybe to like get some of my clothes for me, or to go just to a random store nearby, hand her some money, be like, hey, could you just get me a shirt and shorts, please? None of those were his first instinct. His first instinct was Amazon. And he didn't specify it, but let's be honest. Maybe. You're right. Ask for help is beyond Taku. That's fair. I'm giving him too much credit. And I don't know, like, even if people assumed that, if his goal was to try to get through as unnoticed as possible, you can't do that covered in blood. It's impossible. Even if nobody bothers you, you're getting noticed. I was worried about Arimura, but didn't know how to get in touch with her. I decided to go down to the public phone in the dorm lobby and call Serica to see if she knew anything. Oh yeah, because he got a cell phone in the other ending. Oh, goodness, why am I yawning? I am very awake. Ah, there we go. She told me that she and Kurusu were hiding Arimura in my RV. Perfect. Can you guys bring me some clothes? They'd happened to run into her last night after we'd been attacked by that woman. And they... Maybe it was just the closest place. I was about to complain about them letting her use my house, but changed my mind. What was important was that Arimura was safe. Serica and Kurusu were both very worried about me. All Arimura had told them was that I had been attacked by a woman who could control fire. It's just tomato sauce, a lie. I don't know. I don't think he would. If he thought of it, maybe, but I don't think he even would. I think he'd just be like, like stutter and run. But I was as vague as possible. There was no way I could tell them what had happened yesterday. I hung up quickly. Oh, and that's true. If he's not going to tell them that his clothes are covered in blood and why, he wouldn't be like, hey, I need clothes. I hung up quickly without telling her where I was. Then I went back to my room. Wait, what? Then I went back to my... They say that the school's closed today. That's what Kurusu told me on the phone. The police were probably investigating. Kazuki, can I ask you something? What did you do yesterday? Kazuki didn't answer. Is it something you can't tell me? You have some kind of special power too, don't you? No. Oh yeah, she had a really cool D-sword. It's like a chain blade. You still didn't say a word. It was like vertebrae sword. She'd done so much talking last night, but now she was back to her usual self. Come on, it's not like you can't talk, right? And it seems like you know what's up too. Kazuki shook her head. It might not be good, maybe. Not good? What isn't good? Corn's chain sword. Yeah. Might not be good if I talk, maybe. What did that mean? It probably had something to do with the way she'd suddenly started talking last night. There might be someone who knows the answers you want, maybe. Someone who knows the answers I want. Where? She just started saying tons of stuff that might be helpful. She basically named almost everything but the kitchen sink, including ladders, bombing squads, nuclear bombs. But only one of them ever actually showed up, but it's definitely highly implied that it's her words make things, yeah. But, like, she said like 100 things, but one thing showed up. So she either doesn't have a lot of control over it, or only one out of every X thing showed. There's got to be some, like, drawback to it. Oh, that too. So she did do two things, yeah. She told Taku to stop and he literally couldn't move. Which would be why she puts maybe at the end of everything, to make it not a statement. Kazuki pointed to the low table in the center of the room. There was a small laptop on it. Ah, Nightheart. Hana Kazuki is a gigglomaniac, and a special one at that. Oh no. No, that can't... I hope that's not supposed to be Nineheart. The critical point to remember is sound. In other words, her voice. She can spread the information energy of a delusion with her voice. If you want a nice term to classify it, how about communicable gigglomania? What makes it difficult is that she lacks the power to control it, and she doesn't have any other powers. Okay. Well, why would she refer to herself in the third person? The person she was talking about was typing in the chat window. No, that's not her. No, it's definitely not her. That's her friend in ESO 2. I was shocked to see the handle Nightheart on the screen. Wait, is Nightheart?
もしかして
Lightning Fast Nightheart, the one who sometimes went by Nineheart der Blitzenscheil too? Oh my god. It would have to be ESO. It would have to be ESO. Of course he would show up in actual Best Girls route too. Maybe this is the most depressing thing that'll happen on our route, right? Maybe? Ark isn't even here to flip out. Oh wait, hi Ark. Hey Ark, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. It's only in text, true, but the guy responsible for the ESPR panic just before the earthquake 6 years ago? The one people said might be deeply involved in the quake itself? Yup. I gulped. There was so much I wanted to ask him. I could write a whole article just on that. Was Nightheart a Gigglomaniac too? Oh, you have no idea. Like, from their knowledge of what a Gigglomaniac is, holy crap. I wonder if he still has his powers after that, though. We don't know, right? We don't really know anything about him post-Ed. We've seen his Twitter feed, but why would he mention that? Children from another world or some shit. Okay, so an isekai, cool. Kazuki typed, tapping expressionlessly away at the keyboard. TLDR, her power is useless. Shit tier, sucks to be her. Ah. Ah. I like how even in character she's not saying something. She's like, word bubble. Oh, no, stop. Well, I think we missed some of that. Wait, do you know what? Hold on. Oh, I can't! It's a blocked scene! Why? There's gotta be a way to scroll this back up. I have not been keeping up with it. I want to scroll back up, game. We'll just assume Taku's being a little shit, yeah. That's it. Katsuo Hana, what's her nickname? I can't scroll back up there. Did you type in those emoji by hand every time? No, you put it in like a notepad or something. You can Control V, Control C, Control V. Yeah, of course he did. Because he's Taku 1. She showed me that she had them registered as shortcuts on the keyboard, or that's even easier, but that wasn't important right now. Supposedly, Kazuki and Nightheart knew each other online for being in the same ESO2 guild. They're in the same guild. Oh. There's no way he doesn't ninja loot. There's no way he doesn't start drama. Like, ugh. Don't forget, his whole goal in the game in the first place was to be the guy that knew everything. And you've been talking to him about your powers? You need better friends, yes. Kazuki nodded. Lightning Fast Nightheart, the legend himself. So the rumors were true after all. I was so excited I was getting goosebumps all over my body. A lot of people said he was a fake after the ESPR incident, but they were wrong. I realized a year after the earthquake that I had a special power, maybe. It took a year? Not that it did anything good for me. I believe that. A year after the earthquake? That was years ago. So she knew about it this whole time? I wanted to ask why she didn't help me when I was trying to learn to use my telekinesis, but I stopped myself. This Asmongold, wow. Oh. I don't know enough about Asmongold to know if that's true or not. Most of what I know of him is just like reaction videos and stuff, so I really don't know much about like him as a streamer or a player. Probably had something to do with the reason why she never talked. She had the power to put the information energy from her delusions into her voice. Nightheart had given it the long, and if you asked me, nonsensical name of communicatable Gigglomania. Is your power more or less what Nightheart said it was? Kazuki nodded. At first, I just thought a lot of weird things were maybe happening around me. Like a friend had a cute pen and I said I wanted it. And the next day the pen was mine. We had this really ugly black and white cat at home that I loved. One day I whispered to myself that he'd look better as a tabby. And then he really turned into one. There's a lot of that when I was in elementary school, about 5 years ago. Oh, yeah, no, that sounds like Taku 1, yep. What you said became real? That wasn't all, maybe. That wasn't all? When I said something, I don't know what... Oh, when I say something, I don't know what will become real and what won't, maybe. Nightheart had said she couldn't control it. That's why she'd been shouting all those words on the roof. She must have thought that at least one of them would work. What did he mean when he said it was communicatable? When I was in middle school, I had a good friend. We were always together. It was so much fun to be with her. We were like sisters. But because of my power, her expression clouded. I thought she'd stop talking, but I was wrong. It all started with a simple word, maybe. A simple word in a normal conversation. But that word spread to a lot of different people. And without me even realizing it, it stopped being my word. Turned into a whole different meaning altogether, maybe. By the time I'd forgotten I'd ever said it, it became real. And because of it, her family was torn apart. Her dad committed suicide. Her mom started using drugs. Her sister was kidnapped by strange men and went missing. She went crazy. And then I figured out that maybe it was because of my word. No, not maybe. It was. I wish I could just get rid of this power. But since I couldn't, I thought that if I never said another word, I wouldn't be able to hurt anyone else. What did she say? You're the first person I've talked to since I came to Hekiho, Takeru. So that's why she didn't talk? Yeah. I kinda had a feeling, but like I didn't know what the catalyst was for it. If she talked, her power might activate. And like the worst? And what if Nightheart said was... And if what Nightheart said was true, she couldn't control it. There's no way to prove whether or not what had happened to her in middle school was really because of her power. But even so, if she'd been able to control it... She'd probably asked herself that question a million times. Maybe remaining silent was her way of punishing herself? I asked Kazuki's permission to type a question to Nightheart. Ask a question. Why can't Kazuki control her power? No emoji? Who are you? Member for club at school. Oh, Miyashiro? Oh, damn. Huh? How do you know my name? Kazuki told me about you yesterday. She said there was a moron in her club who had psychic powers but didn't know how to use them. Lol. Oh, Taku won. Oh. Oh, man. Her face went red and she frantically shook her head. I talked to him. He'd gotten a weird power recently, maybe. And I thought maybe it might not be a good idea to use it too much when other people were around. A noob in ESO2 and Taku 1 threatened to dox her. Yeah, that's just... This is all something, but I didn't call you a moron, maybe. Maybe? Why is it that Kazuki can't control her powers? This is just what I've gleaned from talking to her, but... Oh, what I'm about to tell you is top secret stuff. Don't go around repeating it. In my case, I chose a target to show the delusion, and then plug the delusion directly into their mind. Sometimes that delusion involves sex. All other times it also involves sex. On other occasions, there was also sex. You can skip the jokes. I was serious, we know. What's important is that you've plugged that delusion directly in the target's brain. That's what creates a clear mental image that can be shared. This clear image is what's needed for a successful real boot, but Kazuki can't do that. All Kazuki can do is spread the information energy from a delusion via sound. Sound contains no visual information, which means the mental image itself becomes vague. It's a lot less reliable than implanting an image directly. Just like it's hard to visualize an image based off a description, right? Of course, an otaku like me can do that easy, as long as it's something to do with sex. But Kazuki's power has one other trait that makes it unique. When other people hear the sound, it echoes. That's why they call it communicable. Just like a rumor, it grows and changes as it spreads, almost like a game of telephone. Imagine a guy giving a speech in front of a station. That's her, spreading her delusion to a random group of people. Now imagine someone passing by hears the delusion, takes it to school, and tells it to a friend there. Let's say that person repeats it to someone else. The contents of the speech echo and expand. In the same way, Kazuki's sound can spread even when she's not there. That's what makes her different from a typical giglomaniac. But even if it echoes, it's extremely rare for it to real boot. Like I said before, delusions spread by sound are vague, and the details are different. There's no shared image to be real booted, but once in a while there's an extremely low probability that several people will imagine the exact same image when they hear a given word. When that happens, Kazuki's delusion is real booted, whether she wants it to be or not. When Kazuki speaks, that was a lot of information to take in. Yeah, no freaking kidding. Saying something on Twitter. I wonder if that even works. It sounds like it has to be verbal, but I don't know. I can at least appreciate that he himself admits, like, yeah, no, all I did is just fantasize about doing terrible sexual things to people. That's Taku 1. That's all Taku 1. That's everyone loves. TikTok video, yeah, that would probably work. I tried as hard as I could to understand everything that Nightheart was saying. Oh, you can scroll back up. Oh, okay. But I can. A rumor could, under certain circumstances, turn into a form of demagoguery capable of altering an entire society. So, Persona 2. So Kazuki's power was the same thing as that. That would explain why it wasn't safe for her to talk. It must have been a terrifying possibility to her. So when Kazuki speaks, she has no way of knowing if there's an astronomically low chance two people somewhere will share the same mental image. It's all coincidence. So what about that ESO2 portal device? Yeah, that's a good question. It was real booted last night when Kazuki spoke. Why a portal device? I just told you that she can't control her powers, right? Someone who heard it just happened to know about ESO2's portal device, and it just happened to be real booted. That's all. Just a coincidence. Of course, you could also say it's a coincidence that the other things she said weren't real booted. The second the woman who was attacking us touched the portal. He could type the words like they were nothing at all. Even though it was something neither Kazuki nor I wanted to accept. She disappeared. Where do you think she went? She's probably dead, right? The portal device was the only one that got real booted, right? I ran a net search and didn't see any others. In ESO2, if you touch a portal device, you get warped to another one. But there's only one device. There's nowhere for her to warp to, right? She was probably transported to a dimensional rift or dissolved at the subatomic level. Wow, okay. Go play ESO2? Huh, maybe. Maybe? The cold words appeared on the computer's LCD monitor. Kazuki and I both stared at them. She was dead. The one was dead. Higher chance because they have a single design. Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, true. And if anybody who heard could share the delusion, then there were definitely a lot of spectators down below. Ow, my elbow. Way to just bash it into the desk. The woman was dead. A lot of tanks and crap, their mental images need to be exactly the same. Correct. If one thought of one style of tank and one thought of another style of tank, nothing. Same with a ladder. There's so many types of ladders, but you had to have the same mental image. But if somebody were to say, excuse me, Hildebrand Manderville, all of a sudden you know exactly. It's spot on. Maybe somebody pictures him with torn clothes and somebody pictures him without it, but like, that's a weakness. Gonna have the same image. Yeah, exactly. Why? Oh no. You definitely should never ever summon Hildebrand into real world physics. That would be catastrophic. Catastrophic. I mean, he'd get the problem solved, but he'd probably destroy, yeah, such devastation. The woman was dead. Hearing it from an objective third party. A third party? Objective? I don't even know. He's just... made me want to throw up. You know, summon Godbird. Oh, that's even worse. Must summon Limmel? Why? Oh, crud. Basically it only recreated its appearance. Oh, sorry, I gotta log off. Gotta go to Nippon Bashi and get me a Mimi Yuminohara figure. Are you in Osaka? Sure, why not? Why so vague? I'm actually super busy these days, running around the world. Haven't been able to make it to Akihabara in a while. It actually sucks. So today I'm having an otaku merchandise hunting party. Furthermore, I'll be the only one participating. Last night was so exciting, I got 2 hours of sleep. Actually, did you hear about... Oh, thank goodness. Hear about the last episode of Gun Barrel being cancelled? You don't say. The last episode of Gun Barrel got cancelled. The hate makes it clear. Damn it. I know there's something going on with that, like the staff got into a fight or something. My otaku sense is tingling. The Mimi figures are going to be in high demand real soon now. That's why I'm going to get them while I can. I can make a fortune reselling them. Anyway, you kids have fun. Lol. Was this the kind of person that Nightheart was? You don't want to know the kind of person that Nightheart was. I was a little disappointed. Maybe you should be. To live his life like nothing happened. I mean, to be fair, he did have to go through the B-route ending and experience all that. As much as I don't want to give him much credit at all, the fact that he's not entirely broken is still something. It's not completely normal life. Oh yeah, he's working with Daru, yeah. Connecting factor to all games, I don't know. I can only see him in ESO 2, maybe. So it may be a little hard to get a hold of him, maybe. Oh, you're right, that just loops back. Yeah. Oh, then screw him. Screw Taku. 1. It's usually there when I log in, though. Yeah, because he probably doesn't do anything else. Okay. Okay. Just gonna say... I find it hard to believe that she's not max level. With how often she plays this game, she's level 53, and on the off chance 53 was the max level, it's clearly not because the XP bar isn't filled. I don't know. I don't trust it. She was in one of the at-chan logs. The thing is, apparently she was. I had somebody comment on some of my YouTube archives. Apparently she was, but it wasn't translated correctly because we were using a fan translation. So they translated her name to a slightly different thing than Gechane. Yes, that's what it was, Ramen. So apparently she was there. I'd had that pointed out to me a ways back. But since we were doing a fan translation, I was unsure. It was a weekday, but he said he was going to how do you pronounce that again? Nippon Bashi. Oh, that's not the bad. He also said he was traveling around the whole world. Both of those statements seemed like lies. Yep, I cannot imagine him ever leaving his, shipping container for more than, 20 minutes. And we know for sure he's still living there in the chaos, in the robotics time. Soft level cap, is that a hard? Maybe. What is he really? You don't want to know. I didn't get to ask him about what happened 6 years ago either. You also probably don't want to know that. There's no point in thinking about Nightheart now. Or ever. She's another member of Taku's ESO guild. Him and Grim. Oh, jeez. Okay. What should we do? Go to the police? Or pretend we don't know anything? Should we pretend that we weren't even at the school last night? Should we tell Serika and Kurzu? But rumors weren't something you could control. The more people that knew a secret, the more likely it was to leak. Let's keep what happened last night a secret between you and me. Well, I can tell you for sure, she's not going to tell anyone. Barring Nightheart. Kazuki froze and looked at me pleadingly. We'll just keep an eye on things for a while. I still didn't know why that woman had attacked us. Didn't seem to have anything to do with the return of the new generation madness, though. The way she attacked us was way too different from the other murders. The most likely possibility was that she was a psychopath, but that was only a theory. Maybe someone else was controlling her. It would be best to be careful. I should avoid attracting any attention. Maybe I should shut down the newspaper club for a while, too. Takeru, I'm sorry. For some reason, she apologized. Even though it wasn't her fault. If anything, it was my fault for getting her involved. Maybe you understand now. But you shouldn't talk to me anymore, maybe. My voice makes bad things happen. To be fair, that doesn't mean he shouldn't talk to you. That does mean... I guess I'd feel awkward as hell if somebody was talking to me, and I just went, Like, at the time where they weren't sure if she even could talk or not, you could, lean on that, but... Cat's kind of out of the bag there. I wish I never had it. She looked down, her expression sad. Her power was making her suffer. As an older student from her club, I should probably say something to her. She'd used her power to save me, even though she hated it.
Na, Kazuki.
Hey, Kazuki? Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Thanks for saving me last night. I'm really grateful. You might hate your power, maybe, but thanks to that power, I'm still alive. And, well, I don't think your voice is that bad. It's cute. Really, I'm not just saying that. So don't get so depressed about your power. Easier said than done. Wow, that was pretty embarrassing to say. I could feel the sweat beating on my forehead. Taku hits maximum stress when trying to be nice to a person. But Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was looking down at her cell phone. I looked closer and saw that there was a cord running from it to her ears. Wow. But why did you put your headphones on? She didn't even hear that? What the hell? I just have to go back to sleep. I went to a corner of the room, buried my head in my knees, and tried to sleep. Thank you, Takeru. For the next 2 days, Kazuki and I spent all our time in this room, doing nothing at all. A few days ago, I never would have imagined I'd be living in a room with a girl from my club. But sadly, nothing romantic had happened at all. Did you get close? All I did was watch the news on TV. I wanted to look online, but Kazuki was using the computer the whole time and wouldn't give it to me. Even now, Kazuki was seated in front of the only computer in the room, a low-spec compact laptop. Oh, that's gotta suck to be like an MMO gamer and have a low-spec laptop. Oh. There was an angry glare in her eyes as she stared at it. It was like she was trying to intimidate her monitor. Her frustration was plain to see on her face. I mean, if she's in a guild with Taku, duh. She was a totally different person than one... Okay, so let's be honest. Every single time she pounded on the wall, it was because of Taku won, right? Every single time. 100% him. The one who cried as she told me about her powers 2 days ago. Actually, this was the Kazuki I always saw in the club room, wasn't it? She slammed her fist against the table in annoyance. Yeah, it's Taku. Thought I could hear the sound of her gritting her teeth. You probably can. Don't get so emotional over a game. Did you lose again? She was sulking. If you let her, Hana Kazuki would spend her whole day playing video games. She would barely even eat. The only food in the room was dried squid and lollipops, both of which were available in enormous quantities. It freaked me out a little, honestly. Of course, thanks to them, I was able to eat something without having to leave. Kazuki ran her fingers through her hair violently, trying to vent her frustration. She'd been angry ever since yesterday. When I'd asked her what was wrong, she'd said, "This laptop is too crappy to run the game right." Oh, that's also super frustrating. I'm still gonna blame Taku, but like that's gotta be super frustrating. Basically, she was having withdrawal symptoms from being unable to play her games. Sheesh. Then she slowly stood up. Adventure still ongoing. And headed for the door. Wait, where are you going? The past 2 days, she'd been unwilling to leave her room. She was probably still thinking about what had happened at the school. I felt bad about it, since I was the one who'd gotten her involved. Had she recovered? School. Gonna game. Gotta go to the club room. Better computer. Bye. Yeah, no, as somebody who's been a healer main... At least, the funny thing is I never was a healer main in any prior game. Only in 14. But can confirm, yeah. Healers do not get the respect they deserve. You're kidding me. I was too shocked to say anything. She couldn't handle playing on the game on her low-spec PC anymore? Sure, the one in the club room was pretty high-end, but I felt like I'd solved the mystery of why she was always playing in the club room. Excuse me. It was never clear if that computer belonged to the school or was someone's personal property. It was one of the 7 mysteries of the newspaper club. And how much easier healing was than you expected. Fair. Yeah. Healing's not the hardest thing, but still doesn't get not enough credit and respect. I didn't really try to stop her. I didn't feel like going to school. Part of it was that if I did, I'd remember the terror I'd felt. But more importantly, I didn't want to answer all the questions I knew Kurisu and Ito were going to ask. That was why I'd spent the last 2 days cooped up in this room. Yeah, but I'm a scholar, man. No one knew I was here right now. I've been getting calls from Sarika and Kurisu all day since yesterday, but I'd ignore them all. On what phone? I was sure Kazuki was going to leave, but instead she turned around when she got to the front door. It looked like she was still hesitant about going outside. Is the game that much fun? I'd never been able to get into a game as much as Kazuki did. All I ever did was play a few to kill some time. But when I saw how Kazuki's life seemed to revolve around her game, I started to wonder what was so interesting about it. Oh, is this the ending where he gets hooked on an MMO? Is that going to be this ending? Nothing else bad happens? He just... Oh no. The worst bad thing happens. He becomes friends with Taku-1. Oh, never mind. No, never mind. I don't want that. Nah, it's okay. No, it's fine. Hey, can I try that game you were playing a little? Oh no. Kazuki nodded, so I sat down in front of the PC. The game screen was still displayed on the monitor. There was a Western game called Call of Counterfield. Sure. This is one of those games where you shoot each other with guns, right? He's not going to become an MMO addict. He's going to become a COD kitty. I think they're called FPS, right? Short for first-person shooter, game jargon, a genre of shooting games. The term refers to any game which is played in first-person view, but especially games where the player controls a character with a gun who fights enemies on foot. In an FPS, the player's character is not displayed on screen, except for certain parts, such as an arm or the weapon they're holding. One of the most popular genres of games in North America. When a character's whole body is displayed on the screen, the game is referred to as a TPS, or third-person shooter. How do I control it? WASD? Obviously. Kazuki sighed a little and came over to me. It's like, ugh, you don't even know how to use the control keys. Put your hand on the mouse. She moved my hand to the mouse. My hand was on top of the mouse, and Kazuki's hand was on top of mine. She was so close. She was right on top of me. Use the WASD keys on the keyboard to move. Shift to dash, and G to throw grenades. I was too focused on Kazuki to listen to what she was saying. Hey, can you help me with this for a second? Oh my god, she's really close. I can't focus on a word she's saying. She's just gonna have to repeat it all. I'm not really paying... Okay, try it, maybe. Kazuki started the game without me. I was placed into a lobby while the game matched me with somebody else, but only for a second before it threw me right into the middle of a match. What's going on? I was so caught off guard that I panicked a little. And when I moved, the screen was jerky. It was really hard to control. Even if I found someone to try and shoot, they'd shoot at me first and I'd die, and that's Call of Duty. I ended the game with 0 kills and 31 deaths. I mean, we've all been there, let's be honest. That was not good. Did you at least get an assist or something? I don't know how Kazuki managed to play when the screen was this jerky. The computer specs weren't nearly good enough. I felt like I understood why she was so stressed out. Takeru, you suck. Maybe. I like collecting screenshots though, just like, that's the subtitle of the game. I'm a beginner, and the screen's really jerky. And I couldn't stop thinking about what was touching my arm, so I couldn't concentrate. She kept whispering, not that way, dummy, no, and not there, in my ear too. You're getting backseat gamed. And your hand's been on top of mine this whole time. Well, you know she's not helping him, because otherwise he might have actually gotten a kill. Kazuki's right hand had been on top of mine during the whole game.
Hey, phrasing!
True. Kazuki seemed to finally notice how close we were. She was right next to me, so close I could feel her breathing. Her eyes went wide and her face flushed red. Breathing tickled my cheek. Neither of us had showered in 2 days. Ugh. So I could smell the sweat on our body. We were close enough to kiss. Cool Cat Press would tell me that this was a sign it was okay to... Cool Cat Presses. And we were alone in her room. I couldn't take my eyes off her soft lips. This was bad. I didn't know what was going on, but this had to be bad.
Kazuki.
It's only bad if you do something stupid. She was trying to help you like you asked. It only turns bad if you think that's something and try to do something stupid. Oh, you know. Suddenly, the intercom rang. I came back to my senses and leaped away from Kazuki. That scared me! But it saved me, too. If it hadn't interrupted, I might have put my hands on Kazuki. They just keep putting their hands on top of each other on the mouse. That's it. That's just for like 20 minutes till the doorbell rings. That was something that superficial normals did. I wasn't like those normals. I was a more stoic sort of normal. Yeah, that's right. Yup. Kazuki glanced at me as I tried frantically to calm myself down, then picked up the intercom receiver. Wait, she didn't talk in the intercom either? How was she supposed to communicate with anyone? Kazuki slowly put down the receiver. Looked like she'd managed to communicate with them. She turned to me. It looked like something was troubling her. No, it's okay to talk. Please talk, actually. Nono is here, maybe. That's right, just talk normally. It'll take more than a word or two to do me. Let's be honest. No, it won't.
Huh?
Oh, I already know the word that's gonna doom him. I already know it. She said that one word destroyed her friendship with her friend in middle school. I know what word's gonna destroy him. I know it. I already know it. Noob. He's gonna sit down again at the game. She's gonna call him like freaking noob, and the voice chat's gonna be on, and his life is just gonna start to crumble. Nono was here? I was doomed. Why would Kurusu visit Kazuki's room? Of course, there was only one reason. She's gonna grab him by the ear, drag him out, and force him to take a shower. You weren't at school, you weren't at your RV, you weren't at the dorm, or at Sarika's place, or at Ito's place. Which means that this would be my next choice. You don't have a lot of friends, so I can't imagine who you'd go to that wasn't in the newspaper club. I never honestly believed I'd find you here in Kazuki's room, though. Cool Cat Press lies. No, clearly not. But yeah, no, that would ruin him too, clearly. Or worse, Cool Cat Press never lies. That would ruin him more. I was relieved to see that Kurusu looked healthy. I probably didn't have to worry about her knife wound anymore, but she was mad. This was the extra mad version of Kurusu. I knew it was my own fault for calling Sarika once on Tuesday morning and then ignoring everyone's calls. I wanted to run away if I could. So, are you willing to talk about this? First, what are you doing in Kazuki's room? That's where she wanted to start? She didn't care about what happened when I was attacked by the pyrokinetic? I mean, you're clearly alive, so... Takeru, answer me. It just kind of turned out that way. Does it have something to do with what happened Monday? Kazuki and I both nodded at the same time. I see. But do you really think it's appropriate for a high school boy to stay in a girl's room for 3 whole days? Good point. You could tell she was the student council president. You didn't think it would bother Kazuki? Well... Kazuki shook her head. She was embarrassed for some reason. Evidently, she hadn't thought it was a bother. Really? You're not just saying that because he's older than you? Kazuki kept shaking her head. I like that Nono clearly has Kazuki to English, or to Japanese, I suppose, a full translation. She seemed to have no intention of talking. Are you two, maybe, are you dating? Is that it? Alright. Don't even have to say it. Just give me a second. that should be good. Damn it, Kate. Both Kazuki and I shook our heads as hard as we could. I mean, well, I can understand where she got that idea. I see. For some reason, Kurisu looked a little relieved. Takeru, you're okay now, right? By okay, she probably meant what happened Monday. I was sure she'd been worried too. I'm okay, I think. The woman who attacked us isn't in Shibuya anymore. Probably. I always forget to check where I had the volume set before I mess with it. Of course, I didn't say that because we'd killed her. Then why not come to school? Sarika and Ito are both worried. If you're worried about being home alone, you can come to Alba Dorm. I can't do that. It's possible that woman was after me from the start. Even if the odds were low now, they weren't zero. So if I'm with you and Onoe, I might get you involved. And Dad, you and Yuto are at Alba Dorm. So it's okay to get Kazuki involved then? No, but it's also too late. Oh yeah, totally worried. Well, if he dies here, then it won't be part of the fun plan she's got planned. Well, I already got her involved. Kurisu stared at my clothes. I hadn't changed out of the blood-stained shirt since Wednesday. Kurisu would be really worried about that, of course. So, you were involved in what happened at school then? I nodded. What happened? Kazuki and I looked at one another. But Kazuki quickly looked down. I needed to keep her power, and what we'd done at the school on Monday is secret. Kazuki saved me. That means they might come after her too. That's all I can say. Part of that is to keep you and the others safe. Please understand. It's the same story as always, huh? Kurisu smiled sadly. What? No, it's nothing. Kurisu, Kazuki suddenly offered us both a lollipop. Delicious. He was trying to say that these were for us, evidently. Thank you. Sheesh, she can be a little like Sarika. I hope not. Kurisu chuckled and sighed, then took the lollipop. She didn't put it in her mouth, though. I took it, unwrapped it, and then plopped it in my mouth. Tasted like strawberry. A cloyingly sweet flavor soon filled my mouth. Kazuki, you're sure Takeru's not causing trouble for you? If there's something you want to say, you can say it. I'm shocked. Well, I'm still shocked she hasn't, like, got a notepad or something. Maybe she just likes the freedom of not having to say anything to some degree. Like, I know she hates her power and hates the reason for that. But, it's all the club members are psychics? I don't know if we know about Ito. He was just straight up being controlled at this point. Yeah, right? Why not do the Celti thing? Exactly. To the best of my knowledge, we don't know that Ito is. I don't think he is. Yeah, poor dude. Everyone but him seems to be yes, correct. You're sure? The best I can come up with is that she just doesn't want to go through the hassle of typing something every time. I see. Takeru may be your senior at school, but this is your room. Feel free to set ground rules. And Kazuki, are you bathing properly? Wow, rude. You're not, are you? Is it because Takeru's here? Kazuki's face became beet red as she shook her head. It wasn't my fault. It's because she'd been playing too many video games. Hey, I love me some video games, but I make sure to shower regularly. Don't blame it on the games. I'll keep an eye on Takeru, so why not take a shower now? After that, I'll go shopping. You don't have any real food, right? I'll make you something simple. Takeru needs a change of clothes, too. Oh, that would be great. Come on, Kazuki, get going. Kurisu practically shoved Kazuki into the bathroom. Before long, I heard the sound of falling water. This was awkward. It was awkward enough being here with Kurisu, but I could hear almost every sound Kazuki made as she showered. Like what? The sound of like a shampoo bottle hitting the shelf? Like... Yeah, they play her talking to, yeah. Has Kazuki opened up to you, I wonder? Maybe. She's not like Serika. She puts up walls with everyone. Yeah, there's other ways she's not like Serika, thankfully. Sometimes when I see her, I wonder if inviting her to join the newspaper club is a good idea. I mean, she's clearly having fun. And to think of it, you were the one who brought her to the club. Yeah, a few days after the school year started. The wind was blowing really hard that day. She was carrying a huge pile of handouts, and the wind caught them and blew them away. So I helped her pick them up. But she doesn't talk at all, you know? So I was worried about her, and I went with her to the teacher's office. And then, since Kazuki couldn't talk, the teacher started asking her to do all this other stuff. Oh. Because she wouldn't say no. I got upset at how Kazuki couldn't refuse, and interrupted them. And later, I said if she wasn't in a club, she might try the newspaper club. She looked like a quiet girl, so I thought maybe she wouldn't want to be in a club. So when she suddenly showed up several days later, I was surprised. So that's how it happened? That was just like Kurisu. But I never know what she's thinking. So I still wonder if she only joined the newspaper club because I told her to. It's absolutely the PC. She's there every day, so I don't think she hates it. Her main reason was probably to play video games. But now I know why Kurisu was more concerned about Kazuki than anyone else in the club. I think Kazuki is grateful to you? Well, I don't know for sure, but I was mumbling and stumbling over my words because it felt kind of like I was talking about myself. Take care of Kazuki, okay? Be her friend. I know, we're in the same club after all. She really was nosy. That was why everybody counted on her so much as the student council president. Then the door to the bathroom opened, and Kazuki came tumbling out. That was fast. Hasn't even been 5 minutes, has it? Did you wash your hair? Her hair was a little wet, and her cheeks were a little flushed from the hot shower. You could smell the pleasant scent of shampoo. Why did she look a little cuter than usual, now that she was out of the shower? Come on, dry your hair properly. It's almost like bathing helps. Shocking. Oh, that's a cute CG. Kurisu smiled gently and started to dry Kazuki's hair with a towel. You didn't need to get out so quickly. Kazuki fidgeted as she let Kurisu dry her hair. And then her stomach rumbled. Both Kurisu and I burst out laughing. You're hungry, huh? Okay, I gotta go get some clothes for Takeru. I'll do some shopping while I'm out. Is there something you want to eat? Anything's okay, right? For some reason, Kazuki got on the ground and bowed in gratitude. About an hour later, Kurisu came back and made us a simple meal. The table was lined up with fried ginger pork, tofu, and onion miso soup, and a spinach salad. A simple meal? That's for like somebody living in a dorm room living off of dried squid and lollipops? That's gourmet right there. They used some really simple recipes, so I can't guarantee that it'll be good. But I knew exactly how good at cooking Kurisu was. I also feel like a simple recipe is harder to screw up. Even if you're not good at cooking, a simple recipe that tastes good, it's the best place to start. I'm trying to get the volume to the right spot. It's probably good enough. Till recently, she'd cooked for me every day. And Kurisu was best at simple dishes like these. She'd make several of them in the blink of an eye. Kazuki was looking at Kurisu's face to see if it was okay to eat. Go ahead. Kazuki put her hands together and bowed her head. She might not say anything, but she had good table manners. She took a bite of the ginger pork. After just one bite, her face broke out into a grin. Wow! Happy Kazuki! Very happy Kazuki! I didn't know if I'd ever seen Kazuki smile like that before. Felt like I was seeing something really rare. She hadn't eaten any real food for the past 2 days, and normally she only ate lollipops and dried squid. Kurisu's cooking must have been a real feast for her. You liked it, I guess. I'm glad. Yeah, I'd be happy too. You too, Takeru. You're a growing boy. She was in her big sister mode now. But for now, I would be the obedient little brother. My top priority at the moment was filling my stomach. Wow, that must be some good ginger pork. Kazuki was staring at Kurisu as if in a trance, a small piece of ginger pork still sticking out of the side of her mouth. I'd already learned from Cool Cat Press what that expression meant. The food's good? It was the look of a woman in love. Wait, did Kazuki like girls? No. There was no way. I mean, there's definitely a way. She was probably just looking up to Kurisu because she was older. Was it Sarika who had told me that girls in puberty were like that a lot? Was it Sarika? Would... Alright. Kazuki, stop spacing out and chew your food. And get your elbows off the table. It's bad manners. Hey, Kurisu. Kazuki is grateful to you for asking her to join the newspaper club. Been with her the whole time over the past 3 days, and finally I was starting to feel like I understood her. The disaster struck Shibuya 2 days after that. Of course. The two of us were watching the afternoon news when they suddenly switched to a live broadcast near Shibuya Station. A young female reporter was leading a cameraman up the twisty, thin street that ran from the station to Danganronpa. The text on the screen said, "Mysterious object appears in Shibuya. What is it?" I'm here on a street that's a 3-minute walk from Shibuya Station. The wall just says, "Dank. Look at this mysterious object." The reporter pointing to a 1-meter tall object that was floating at the end of the street. Both Kazuki and I recognized it at once. We'd seen it ourselves just a few days before. A portal device? Kazuki looked shocked. Her gaze was frozen on the TV screen. What was going on? There was no way the portal device could be on a street near the station. We'd seen it on top of the school. This object was discovered after an anonymous call this morning. The young reporter moved in front of the device and continued to speak. The police, after a thorough investigation, have blockaded the area. The police say that it might be a bomb. But it seems very pretty, don't you think? It's glowing with a strange, dreamy light. I'd love to see what it looks like at night, personally. What's particularly odd is that there doesn't seem to be anything supporting it. It appears to be floating in the air. How does it do that? Hey, what's that? The cameraman on a TV show is never supposed to speak, but this one did. The reporter stopped talking and turned around to face the portal device. The camera showed that it was changing. The whole portal device was starting to emit a golden light. Look, the object is, it's shining brighter than before. What happened? The scene is in an uproar. Get back, it's dangerous, get back! Oh, a police officer is telling us to get back. This is bad, isn't it? But it's so pretty. Let's go take a closer look. But wait, no! The reporter gave a signal to the cameraman and started to walk towards the device. I gulped as I waited to see what would happen next. It's not a good idea to get close to that, I said in my mind. Of course, no matter what I said here, the reporter on the screen couldn't hear me. No, you really can't. What do you suppose is making it shine like that? When you look closer, you can see tiny particles of light swirling around it. It's like art. Oh, the particles are coming together. Wow, it's so pretty. It's like one of those things in old sci-fi movies. What do you call them? Holograms? Is this shape supposed to be some kind of animal? Or maybe it's a dinosaur. The reporter was as chipper as ever. She was speaking in the same way she'd do a food report at a local restaurant. I could see death flags popping up everywhere. Yeah, boy howdy. I had a bad feeling. Long loading time. Like, I don't know. Maybe? But also, maybe too many people in Shibuya play ESO2 and like those words of the portal device are still just spreading around as they mentioned it could have before. Now there's going to be more rumors of portal devices going around. Maybe they're going to start popping up a lot more. And I couldn't help but remember the last look on that woman's face before she disappeared a few days ago. If that object on the screen was the same thing, like I refuse to believe this was here for several days without anyone finding it. Believe Luke is growing on you? I guess such a heal, that's your weakness? Okay. I was like, wait, searching brain for Luke. Game. Street Fighter, got it, okay. I love his Hadouken taunt. I don't know what it is about just the mild mocking Hadouken. That's just very good. Very good. The object on the screen was the same thing. The reporter was going to disappear as well. Or end up on the top of the school with also no blood. I looked away, not wanting to see it. Yeah, that's fair. If they're going to have character-specific taunts, that's pretty cool. I like that. Huh? I could hear the reporter raise her voice in surprise. Look back at the monitor. We got a problem. I can't wait to see his taunt for a mirror match. And I saw a monster I've never seen before. Thought I'd switch the channel somehow, but I could see the reporter on the same screen as the monster. First I thought it was CG. That's how unreal it seemed. It looked like a dinosaur. Its skin was bright red, its legs were as big as a human torso. Yeah, so the guess now is that it connects with the game. Yep. Oh, maybe, but like... Maybe not everything she said, but like... Clearly enough people heard it, and I guess if at any point two people who heard it think the same image of that thing, what are the chances we just get a bunch of ladders, huh? Maybe we just get a bunch of ladders and it inconveniences people and some hardware stores lose some business? And it had giant wings on its back. Its wicked-looking black horns spent inwards towards its jaw. There were 5 golden orbs like jewels shining on its forehead. I couldn't see any eyes we might expect them to be. Even on 4 legs, it was over twice the height of a human. Ladder end, yeah. This could lead to another Opie ending. No, because this isn't the true ending, Ramen. And there were fangs in its huge mouth. Excuse me. Let's be honest, this game wouldn't have an Opie ending, but I might. Particles of light had come together to form that monster, and the TV camera had captured every second of it. Give us the ability to use ki. Ah, yeah, there you go. If it wasn't CG, it was unreal, and the monster was moving, too. Run. I whispered without even thinking about what I was doing, but the reporter was getting excited instead. Wow, what kind of magic is going... Oh, no. Death flags ahoy. Yep. You're right, see, exactly. So it's totally, it would still work. Wow, what kind of magic's going on here? This big lizard dinosaur appeared right out of nowhere. It's huge and it's moving. It's like the real thing. It's on the Unreal Engine. I'm really not sure how to say it. Oh. Okay, so none of us are shocked, but jeez. It ate her. The reporter had gotten close to it, and it had swallowed her head in one bite. Kazuki suddenly gave a start and screamed. The monster finished gnawing on the reporter's head and then grabbed the headless body in its mouth and shook it violently. Okay. The cameraman screamed and the whole video shook violently too. He must have thrown down the camera and ran. The image was a fixed shot of the monster's legs and the bloody head lying on the ground. And then... So Shibuya's gonna have a bad time. The monster roared. Its thick legs started to move. It kicked the woman's head away. And then apparently stepped on the camera, since the video cut out. Then the TV switched back to showing the studio where the newscasters and commentators were pale and sickly looking. Why do I keep yawning? I'm not tired and I slept great last night. Slept okay last night, but good enough. Soon the image changed to a picture of a field of flowers with message reading, "Please stand by." This was a nightmare. That was a live broadcast, right? That meant all of that really happened. Kazuki was covering her mouth with her hands and shaking. Her eyes were fixed on the TV screen. What was that? Kazuki slowly turned towards me. But she was too shocked to speak. Wait. Her outfit. literally says, excellent girl since 1999. Even the game is like, best girl. Literally wrote it on her outfit. Literally wrote it on her outfit. What was that? I ran over to her and started to shake her shoulder. I didn't notice until like right before the text box came up. She forced out the words with tears in her eyes. A flame arch dragon, maybe. It's a monster from ESO2. It's a rare monster, but you see it in the start of the game, so every ESO2 player knows it. Maybe. That means my delusions are still... they're still echoing. So a fictional monster appeared in reality, but Kazuki didn't make any kind of wish like that Monday night. Pretty sure she did. So where did it come from? Had the words she'd said changed somehow? Kazuki can't control her own powers. I remembered what Nightheart had said and shuddered. A minute later, I booted up ESO2 and saw that Nightheart was logged in as well. Decided to talk to him immediately. Did you see the news this afternoon on Fuji-san TV? Not in real time. I saw what got uploaded to the net later. At Chan's having a festival. Things are starting to get the way they did 6 years ago. Remember the DQN puzzle? Read the wiki. He was enjoying all this? Yeah, he would. What an asshole. Good. No, but I guess I was the same when I was following the return of the New Generation Madness with the newspaper club. Jokes aside, the news broadcast was bad news. This isn't just about Shibuya anymore. The committee might take action. Who? The Committee of 300. Do you know him? It's always the committee. No. Basically, they're a vast organization that controls the world from the shadows. Sounds like bullshit. 100% agree. But it exists anyway. And they might take action. Might be a war, possibly. A war? I don't know what you mean. You might be happier not knowing. I'll look into it on my side. If something comes up, I'll tell you. What are the chances it's because of Kazuki's power? The hell else could it be? You saw that portal device. Yeah. Just so we're sure, the portal device didn't move. This is the second one, right? Yes, I just had a friend go look for me, and it was still there. Gotcha. So, do you think it's possible to see the woman who attacked us again? You mean she might not really be dead? I get it. You're seriously thinking she might have been sent to another portal device? Ha! No. It isn't possible that there was a second portal device that appeared on Monday night and we just didn't notice it. I know I said it was sure she was dead before because of the one portal, but even if there were two, I can't imagine her surviving a teleport. If you could actually reboot something like that, it would be the greatest discovery in human history. I'd want it for myself. But that monster doesn't exist either. It's out there. Huh, got me there. The F Archdrurg that ate the reporter ate a cop after that. F Archdrurg? Flame Archdragon, duh. If it can make a dragon, it should be able to make a portal device. She might still be alive. Why not go look then? Find out how many portal devices have appeared in Shibuya. Find out if anything besides the F Archdrurg really rebooted. Oh, I can't help, by the way. Got a grind on ESO too. Were you supposed to look into the Committee of 300? Yeah, obviously. I was trying to end things with a gag so this wouldn't get you serious. Sorry, but I'm not in Shibuya right now. If the committee intervenes, it's gonna get bad real fast. Tell Kazuki there's no need to play ESO2 for a while. Lol. God, I hate Taku 1 so much. Need to reboot Estinian. There you go. The one downside to that is... no, there's only upsides. He'd actually drastically stimulate the economy too by spending all his money immediately. Yeah, no, there's no downside to rebooting Estinian. Unless it's pre-Dragon Song War Estinian, then there might be... some issues. There might be some Nidhogg-related issues. Yeah. No, there's nothing good about him at all. No, I agree. A vast conspiracy that controls the world from the shadows, huh? Sounds like bullshit. Even movies don't have plots like that these days. Since there was nothing I could do about that, I'd leave it to Nightheart. What was more important to us was the portal device. Investigate it, huh? Kazuki was looking angrily at the log of my conversation with Nightheart. I gritted my teeth too. Even if we did investigate the portal device, what were we supposed to do then? If it was created by Kazuki, would we be able to destroy it or get rid of it? No, it's part of what we're investigating, right? Even if she couldn't control her powers, it was Kazuki who created it. She couldn't pretend to ignore it. There's even a dragon running around now. More people could die.
行くしかない。
I guess we don't have a choice, huh? I mean, it is called a flame archdragon, so I'm pretty sure it can shoot fire. Just a shot in the dark. Yeah, not only just... It's not even like he's some obnoxious guy in our friends list either. Like, it's the leader of their guild. It's gotta suck. Guess we don't have a choice, huh? Might be attacked out of nowhere like we were before. That's why I hadn't wanted to leave, but I wasn't tough enough to just leave something that dangerous out there and hide in here forever. I ran to Harajuku and got a cell phone so I'd be able to keep in touch with the others, and then called Serika after school. Wow, okay. Straight gonna buy a cell phone. Cool, got it. Oh, what's up, Taku? You feel like coming to school? But too bad, they closed it after lunch.
休校?
Closed it? Shibuya was sealed off, right? So they closed the school too.
そうか。お前は今どこにいる?
True, yeah. The singular good thing about him is he is shockingly knowledgeable about Kikulomaniac things. That would be the singular positive point. I see. Where are you now, Shibuya? At Lax. This place isn't sealed off.
ちょうどよかった。
Perfect, I need your
頼み
help.
たいことがある。
I told her I wanted to know how many portal devices had appeared in Shibuya. I don't mind helping, but...
なんだよ。
What? No one is right in front of me and she's telling you not to do anything dangerous. I can feel this silent pressure telling me to put her on the phone. I see. So Kurisu was with her too. Of course, I could understand why she'd be mad. Just like Serika had said, after the shocking incident in the news this afternoon, the police had sealed off Shibuya over the course of a few hours. The number of people on the streets was dropping fast. Supposedly, the National Diet was holding a debate about bringing in the Self-Defense Force. Yes, bring in EDF. Of course, they still hadn't gotten rid of the portal devices or the flame dragon. Kurisu probably wanted to tell me that there was nothing an amateur like me could do. But this wasn't like the other investigations of the newspaper club had done. I glanced over at Kazuki. She was looking down silently.
こんなこと言っても信じてもらえないかもし
You
れ
may
ない
not
けど。
believe this, but that monster that showed up might be me and Kazuki's fault. Huh? What do you mean?
詳しくは話せ
I can't talk much about it. Just know that we're not doing this because we're curious. I want to find a way to get rid of that monster and those devices. I see. I guess that wasn't enough to persuade her. Or so I thought. Okay, I'll persuade None. Somehow.
お、本当か?
Really? Oh, and Shin really wanted you to call him. Why not ask him for help? I'm sure he'd love it.
ああ、そうだな。
Oh, yeah, I'll try. So, are you going to stay with Hana? Are the two of you going to work together?
ああ、
Yeah,
そう
that's
す
the
るつもり。
plan. Alright, maybe I'll go from Shinchan towards Shibuya Station. I can have a walking date with None.
頼む。
Thanks.
ただし、もし
But if you find a portal device, make sure you stay away from it. Okay.
それと、日が暮れ
And
る
be
前に
back
は
home
家に
before
帰るようにして
sunset.
くれ。
Tell Kurisu that too. Are dragons
本当に分か
nocturnal?
ってるのか?
You really understand? You've got a bad habit of doing whatever you feel like sometimes. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Do I? Maybe I do. But you know, I'm good at being sneaky. I'm sure nobody will find me.
それは知ってるけれど。
I know that, but just be careful. Okay, so I'll report in tomorrow.
学校は明日
I
も
guess school's off tomorrow too, isn't it? So let's all meet up at the club room around
昼頃
noon.
に部室
Okay. After I finished giving my instructions to Serika, I made the same call to Ito. When I asked for his help, he was a little too eager to agree. It seemed like he'd been really bored the past few days. And the frustration had been building up, he'd said. So I had him head north from Abisu towards Shibuya Station. Once I'd finished telling him everything he needed to know, I hung up. She knows how to be the sneakiest, it's true.
僕らも行こう。
Kazuki, it's time for us to go, too. We decided to head from the dorm to the station, checking every back street and alley we found along the way. Ah, it's the rock. The first thing we did was head for the school. I hope when I play Ghostwire Tokyo, that rock is there. I'm hoping. It was dead silent. There wasn't a single car. Not only were there no Hekiho students, there weren't even any pedestrians. Had Shibuya ever become this empty at any time since the quake? 6 years ago, there had been rubble everywhere, and I'd felt so alone as I'd faced what seemed like the end of the world. Oh, that we can stand on it? Yes, that's also important. But this seemed different. They didn't seem lonely, it seemed strange. The town was still pristine, but all the people were gone. It's like a ghost town. All the shops had their shutters lowered. They'd closed for the day, it seemed. Everyone had run off as fast as they could. It made sense after what they'd just seen on live TV. We tried to pay as much attention to our surroundings as possible as we headed forward. We were especially careful at intersections. Another monster like that dragon could come rushing out of the shadows at any instant. If we ran into one of them, we wouldn't stand a chance. I could hear the faint sound of someone yelling into a microphone in the distance. The Shibuya area is extremely dangerous at this time. Please stay indoors and evacuate to the designated safe zones. I could see a patrol car in the distance moving slowly. It was probably an officer inside the car using his microphone to urge people to evacuate. The car was slowly heading towards us. If we stayed out here, the policeman would tell us we had to leave Shibuya. That would be the end of our investigation. Kazuki, this way. I ducked down a narrow alleyway so the car wouldn't find us. I felt like a criminal running from the police. Of course, if the portal device's appearance really was our fault, maybe that wasn't totally wrong. We ran left and right through the maze of alleyways and finally came out in front of the parku. I gasped at what we saw there and quickly hid in the shadows. Kazuki wasn't as quick as I was, so I grabbed her hand and pulled. I ended up pulling her tightly up against my body with my arms around her. Sorry, I quickly let go. Kazuki didn't seem bothered by it, she just adjusted her glasses. Did you see that? This time I quietly popped my head out to take a look. Ah, there's another portal device in front of the parku, and around it were 3 monsters. One was a yellow and black dragon. Was it a different colored version of the one that had eaten the reporter? Now that I saw it up close, I was astonished at its size. The other 2 were 2-legged giants covered in thick white fur, a little less than 3 meters tall. Their arms were as thick as tree trunks. Fortunately, none of them seemed to have noticed us. A poison archdragon and 2 snow liches, maybe. Man, y'all screwed. Had both the SO2 monsters? Kazuki nodded. It really did feel like I was looking at a computer model. It didn't seem real. Kinda stinks. It smelled something kind of rotten. There was a stinging stench that hung in the nose. I could see several red lumps around the feet of the monsters. I looked closely to see what they were and quickly realized they had once been human, and now they were just bloody lumps of flesh. They'd been crushed, torn apart, and left there. Oh yeah, no. If either Arthas or Bolvar shows up, well, if Bolvar shows up, you're okay. If Arthas shows up, you're in trouble. It was more than 1 or 2 people. There were at least 10 of them lying on the ground. When the number of portal devices had increased, so had the number of victims. Only then did I finally realize the stench was coming from the corpses. It was so awful I wanted to throw up. I had seen the reporter die on the news today. It had been a shock, but it also felt like seeing a movie. It hadn't seemed real. But this smell was different. It was all too real. It told me what I was seeing was real before my brain had even started to process it. But I couldn't just stand here in shock. I needed to continue my investigation. That's the 3rd portal we've seen. Which meant it was safe to assume that there was a 4th and a 5th. How many of them were we going to find? Ito might be fine, but what about Serika and Kurisu? Maybe asking them for help was a mistake. I hadn't realized Shibuya was so dangerous. It's literally police on megaphones telling everyone that Shibuya is super dangerous, and you're like, oh man, I didn't realize he was right. Is there any way to get rid of them, you think? Kazuki shook her head helplessly. It would be best if we could get rid of them, maybe. I don't know. What have you done before? You've made other things real before, right? What happened with them? Did they keep existing, or did they suddenly disappear at some point? For some reason, Kazuki smiled. Her smile was a mix of sadness and resignation. It's the only answer I needed. She seemed to be saying that there was no way we'd be lucky enough that they'd just disappear. Then, is Shibuya going to be like this forever? Suddenly I heard the faint noise of a car engine behind me. Just as I spun around, I heard the roar of a beast drowned it out. I looked down the hill and...
おいおい
oh, shit. Saw a patrol car barreling towards us at top speed. Behind were 5 or so monsters storming after it. What is that? There were other monsters? And they weren't just wandering around near the portal device, but moving around the city. All 5 of them were the same types as the ones near the portal device. 3 were hairy giants, 2 were dragons.
っていうかこっ
Wait,
ちに
they're heading this way! And they were pretty fast too. Even the cop car couldn't shake them off. Wait, that meant the car was bringing the monsters to us! It's just like ESO. Anyone who trains is a jerk or an idiot, maybe. Oh man. Game jargon, primarily used in MMORPGs. In games where monsters attempt to attack any player who comes within a certain distance, it's possible to move just out of the monster's attack radius, causing it to follow you. Multiple monsters can be gathered up in this manner, causing them to form a train behind the player. This is called training. Sometimes the player simply panics and trains by accidents, but it's often done deliberately. There are many reasons someone might decide to do this, but because it can cause nearby players to be caught up in a fight against a large number of monsters, it's considered by most players to be bad manners. Yep. Boss mob to Bosha. Oh my god. Oh, that happened when I was in Bosha 2 days ago. Just doing a regular fate, somebody brings the star monster over and it just kills everyone. It's like, why? Why would you do that? To watch people die is the answer, though. I don't know if it was a common thing that people did, but I understood the nuisance. Or back in the early days of WoW, when most of the world bosses didn't really have tether distances, so a really dedicated hunter could absolutely bring one to Stormwind and just let it go, feign death, and just laugh as everyone died. You know, stuff like that.
隠れよう
Hide, let them pass by us! I pulled Kazuki by the hand and ran down the stairs to a shop that sold grilled beef tongue. At the bottom of the stairs was the entrance to the store, but all the lights were off inside. We would hide inside and wait for them to pass. I couldn't see what was going on outside from here. My only option was to rely on the sound. I could hear the sound of the police car and the sound of the monster's footsteps shaking the earth. Excuse me. Kazuki gripped my hand tight. Most of the hunter hate was actually because of dungeons, shockingly. If you didn't dismiss your pet before you jumped off a ledge or took a shortcut, the pet would just take the long way around and aggro every monster it passed in the dungeon. Then it would just show up to you 2 minutes later with half the dungeon behind it, and you'd all die. Because, you know... Oh, lost track of me. Oh, decimated you as well as the whole fate group. Yep, that'll happen. If they'd already found us, just imagining it made me shiver. Didn't think those huge monsters could fit down the tiny stairs, but... was hiding down here a good idea? There's nowhere to run. The funny thing is, the same would happen to warlocks, but for some reason warlocks didn't get as bad a rep. A lot of it was because there were a lot of hunters. Hunters were a very easy solo class to play, and, you know, there's a lot of famous, bow and arrow archer type characters in fantasy, so it's a class that a lot of people wanted to play. Kazuki and I instinctively clutched each other tightly, holding our breaths and concentrating on the sounds outside. I could hear the squeal of tires as the patrol car turned down the intersection in front of us. The monsters howled again. The earth shook even more violently. Please don't notice us. All I could do was pray. The sound got further away. I couldn't hear the police car either.
やり過ごせた
Are they gone?
助かった
We're saved.
大丈夫か
You okay? It was then that I realized that Kazuki was clinging to me, or more specifically, I was clinging to her, and holding her so tight that her chest was heaving up and down in pain.
ごめん
I'm sorry! I quickly backed away. Kazuki fidgeted a little and took several deep breaths. Kenji Minamikawa, the cool cat press author, would have been able to come up with the perfect dandy remark to say at a time like this, I bet. No, he wouldn't. I walked up the stairs and took another look at the portal device in front of Parku. The monsters were gone. The police car had drawn away the 3 monsters that were around the device. We might be able to make it past now. The 2 of us looked at one another and out from the stairs. But as we tried to run down Spain Hill, we saw something and froze. The portal device was shining with a strange golden light. I heard a loud noise like clashing metal, I watched in shock as the light around the portal device began to coalesce into a monster. It was the same thing I'd seen on the news, which meant that
また出てくるぞ
another one's coming out. I motioned to Kazuki and we quickly turned back. Oh god, what if they summon Nineheart? By the time we made it back to the school, we were both too out of breath to run anymore. Were the monsters just going to keep appearing? If so, then maybe no one would be able to live in Shibuya anymore. It would be our fault. Suddenly I heard a brief blast from a siren. It was another patrol car. Was it the one that had been training the monsters earlier? But I didn't see any monsters around. The patrol car stopped in front of us. The driver's side window opened and the officer within spoke to us. Did you see another car come this way? Kazuki and I both nodded. Where did you see it? Which way did it go?
パルク前で
In front of the parku. I didn't know which way it had gone since I hadn't seen it myself. As we stood there in silence, the policeman motioned to us. Get inside, you two. It's dangerous out here. I'll take you somewhere safe.
でも
But, nah, we're fine. We're just gonna... Do you want to get killed? There are monsters everywhere. Come on, get in. I almost told him that he should blame the patrol car that had been training back there, but I changed my mind. He wouldn't even know what that meant, so it's better you just didn't. The policeman was risking his life trying to protect us. He was fighting to get people out of the city, even if it meant facing the risk of being attacked by monsters. I couldn't turn him down just because I wanted to continue my investigation. The next day, we all gathered in the club room. Ito had come all the way around from Harajuku, he'd said. It wasn't safe to walk around in Shibuya anymore. The school itself was supposed to be closed, which made sense because of the portal device on the roof. But strangely, no monsters had appeared from the school's portal device. I didn't know why, though. Kurusu looked pale. Whenever I looked at her, she was silent and concerned. That was a normal reaction to what was happening in Shibuya, I thought. Ito seems very happy. For his part, Ito didn't look tired at all. Whenever my eyes met his, he would poke me with his elbow. Hey, so did you and Kazuki get like that?
そういう関係
Get like what?
とぼけんなって
Don't try to fool me. I never thought you were normal, and now you've gone and left me behind.
それにして
Still,
も
I'm amazed it was Kazuki, not Onoe or the Empress. Didn't expect her to be your
ああ
type.
いうのが趣味やっぱあれか
So what? Are you feeding each other dried squid with your mouths? That's pretty naughty, damn
イ
it.
カってところがエロいな
What the hell was he talking about? Was he stupid?
伊藤くん
Ooh. The seriousness of
伊
that.
藤くん
That's the... You gonna get smacked. Kurusu glared at him. The ice in her stare was well below freezing.
そういうゲスな
If you're
話
going
を
to be
するなら
disgusting, would you
今
please
す
just
ぐ出てって
leave
くれる
now?
すいません
I'm sorry. Kurusu sighed and opened her bag. She brought an especially big bag today. She took some wrapped up boxes out of the bag and put them on the table. Eat these with
和
Kazuki
樹と
later.
一緒に後で食べなさい
I unwrapped them and saw that they contained sandwiches.
別にいいのに
I'm fine though.
いいのにじゃないでしょ
I said, eat
コンビ
them
ニやス
with
ーパーはいつも通り
Kazuki
に開いてると思ってる
later.
の
You are not fine. Do you think its convenience stores and supermarkets are open like usual?
油
True.
断していると
If you're not careful, you'll run out of food and be in big trouble. To be honest, I was incredibly grateful. Just like Kurusu had said, none of the stores were open. Last night we had to go all the way to Tomigaya?
あと来てないのは
Is it
尾上だけ
just
か
Onoe who's not here? Is she
大
okay?
丈夫かよ
He was right. Sarika wasn't here. I had just set the meeting time to around noon, so it wasn't like she was late, but I was still worried. Shibuya was swarming with monsters right now. If one of them attacked her on the way to school... Just as I was thinking about going to look for her, the door to the club room flung open and Sarika came running in. Sit down, eat your goddamn... Basically, yeah, right? Oh, everybody's here already.
遅刻しちゃった
Am I late?
遅れるなら連絡
If
し
you're
な
going
さ
to be
い
late, then send us a message. Don't you know what's happening out there? Oh, sorry.
誰もいない学校って
Isn't it kind of
ワクワクし
exciting to be
な
at
い
school when no one else
つい
is
つい
around?
体育館
Just
の
went
方
for a
ま
run
で
around the
ぐるっと
gym.
回ってきちゃった
Is that why she was late? I didn't know whether she was brave, thoughtless, or just dumb. Wow, and every time we think something like that, she knows. Didn't know how she could laugh at a time like this.
うんねえ
Oh, hey,
ひなちゃ
did
ん
you
は呼
not
ばな
call
くてよ
Hina?
かった
なんで有村を
Why would we call Arimura? She wasn't part of the newspaper club.
手から火を出す
We
人
were
に
attacked by a
襲わ
woman
れ
who
たん
shot
でしょ
fire from her hands,
あ
right?
れ
I
と関
wondered
係
if that
し
might
て
have
るのか
something
な
to do with
って
this.
関係はしてるけれど
Long as they're not
してい
tuna.
ないって言
Clearly.
った方が
It
正しいかな
does, but to be honest, it really doesn't.
それ日本語に
That
なってな
doesn't
い
make any
ぞ
sense.
少なくとも
If nothing else, she's not going to attack us again, I think.
と思う
I wasn't sure that I'd never see her again yet, but...
有村はあの日大丈夫だったんだよな
Well, I don't know if she could kill them. She's definitely not weak, but I don't know if she's, like, monster killing strong. I don't know. Arimura was fine after the attack, right?
私たち
Yeah,
が
we were
ず
with
っ
her
と
the
一緒
whole
にい
time.
たその日は有村さんも青葉寮
She
に
stayed
泊まら
in
せた
Albert
の
dorm that night.
翌朝にはだいぶ落ち着いたようだったから帰らせたん
Well,
だけ
it's
ど
better, yeah, I'd assume. She was a lot calmer the next morning, so we sent her home. Then there was no need to worry about her.
さて
Alright,
それじ
can
ゃ
I get started?
昨日みんなに頼んで
I asked you all to go search
渋谷
Shibuya
のあちこちを
yesterday,
今渋谷には
and I'd like to put together your findings to figure out how many portal devices are in
それをまとめ
Shibuya.
たいんだ
I explained to everyone that they were called portal devices because they came from a game called ESO2.
う
Hmm? I don't understand. Can you explain better?
どうしてその
What do those
なんと
portal
か
what's
装
have
置
to
って
do with
の
you and
が
Hana?
尾上には説明しなくても大丈夫じゃないか
Excuse me.
だってどっちにしろ
There's
わ
no
から
real
ない
need to explain anything to you. Is there, in a way? You're not going to understand either way. Oh. But she already knows everything. Especially that you're talking down to her. Ooh, boy. Playing these endings through the lens of what's actually going on is just like, ooh. Yeah, they've mentioned it a few times, Soren. I don't remember what it actually stands for. It's not Elder Scrolls Online 2, but yeah. I don't remember what it actually stands for.
ああそっか
Oh, right. That's good enough for her.
でも一応
But I want to know anyway.
タクル
Tucker,
ちゃんとせず
explain.
人が
People are dead.
死んで
A
いるの
lot
よ
of people.
あの化け物は何
What
な
are
の
those monsters?
あ
I saw them too. They were attacking a
パトカーを
cop
襲ってた
car. And there was
そ
a
れと最初に生中継
first
され
live
た例のニュ
broadcast?
ース
What the hell are those things?
モンスターだ
Monsters,
文字通り
literally.
時間を追うごとに増
More
殖
and
し
more
て
are
いる
showing up all the time.
増えてるって
They're multiplying?
マジ
Seriously?
か
遺体が
There were bodies everywhere. It was awful.
それがあなたたちの
If
せ
you're
いだと
saying
いう
that's
な
your
ら
fault, then
説明
explain.
して
Might be able to talk my way out of explaining things to Serika or Ito, but it wasn't going to work on Kurusu. I said on the phone yesterday that the portal devices and monsters might be my fault after all. Kazuki was standing in front of the whiteboard staring down at her feet. It wouldn't be right to not explain. After all that happened, there was no way to be able to keep it a secret. It would probably be better just to explain things to the people in the newspaper club. Or you could have kept it a secret like you said you were gonna, but so I told them everything, including the secret of Kazuki's power. First no one seemed to know how to react, then they all looked astonished. I thought Ito would tell me to stop joking around, but by the time I was halfway done, he was holding his head in his hands.
マジかよ
Seriously? This is nuts.
信じるのか
Do you believe me?
信じるさ
I do. I'd never been able to figure out why you and Kazuki were so close all of a sudden.
だって宮代が
I
カズ
mean,
キを
I
口説
can't
くなんて
imagine you convincing Kazuki to be your girlfriend, but this explains it.
注目するところは
Is
そ
that
こ
what
な
you're
の
focusing on here? Clearly, yeah.
何にせよこの件に関しては真意を議論するつもりはな
I
い
suppose.
今はポータル
I
装置
don't
の
know. I feel like
優先させて
ESO1
く
is
れ
going strong last I heard, so I don't know if they would. It feels like they just keep doing expansions to that, and that's working out well for them. Either way, I'm not interested in discussing whether what I just said is true or not. Let me focus on the portal devices now. They could announce, they could give us news on Elder Scrolls 6, but they won't. Elder Scrolls 6 will not be as good as Skyrim. Hard stop. I'm confident in saying that. That Elder Scrolls 6 will not be as good as Skyrim. Intentionally. Which is such a messed up thing, but I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Specifically... Oh yeah, besides the fact it's never going to actually come out. If it ever does come out, Todd Howard has said that he regretted making Skyrim so good. People just kept playing Skyrim and not buying more stuff. So it will either be intentionally not as good a game, or will be intentionally have more of it cut out for DLC to be released for it regularly. 100% likely. 100%. Todd Howard didn't like how good Skyrim was. Instead of being like, damn, we made a game that everybody loves, people keep playing it, people love it, look at this, look at how awesome we are. He went, we can't keep doing this. I mean, mind you, they do keep reselling Skyrim, but oh yeah, for sure they're gonna find a way to like get around mods of it or something. Like, I don't know how, but I know it will not be as good. So like, oh, absolutely, the mods made it what it is. I'm not going to deny the groundwork was pretty decent. The core game of Skyrim, minus a bunch of bugs, is not bad. People wouldn't have spent so much time modding it and making it better if there wasn't a good foundation to work on. I got some problems with your boy Todd Howard. Skyrim ain't one of them. It was a bit buggy for sure. Most open world games end up being to some degree, but there's a reason that keeps getting resold and repurchased, because people really... Okay, well, that's a different story, Sora. I'm speaking exclusively PC version. Can't and won't defend the PS3 version. Can't and won't. I'm talking exclusively PC version. That's fair. That's fair. Like, you're not wrong. And it's not that he made Skyrim. A large group of talented people made Skyrim. But when those same, assuming it's the same group, which it probably won't be, people will probably come and gone by then, but even if he had the same group, he would make them not make the game as good this time. Everyone nodded. Oh, I should probably save, because I know to succeed in this one, you have to do this perfectly. In fact, if you don't do it perfectly, you get a bad end. So we have to both intentionally screw this up, but then also make sure we get it right. So, yeah. Alright, we should take turns telling you what we saw. Whether we saw any of those, what do you call them, portal devices? The police actually found us and drove us out to Shibuya yesterday. When I was in the patrol car, they told me what they knew. After everyone tells me what they saw, I'll compare it to what I heard from them. Alright, I'll start. I found two portals. One was floating right in front of Shibuya Police Station, down Meiji Street, between Ebisu and the train station. Right in front of Shibuya Police Station, huh? Turned around and headed across Shibuya River towards Sarukarocho. And when I tried to cross Roppongi Street, I saw one at the Shibuya Station South Exit Bus Terminal. South Exit Bus Terminal. Those monsters are nasty, huh? I thought one of the Easter Island statues had gotten up and started walking around. She'll lie, it's gonna get in one interview. Infinite. In front of the Shibuya Police Station on Meiji Street. At the South Exit Bus Terminal at Shibuya. I should mark this on the map. Uh-oh. None of these names are translated. Uh-oh. This is written in Japanese. Yeah. Yup. I had heard something about a map not being translated at some point somewhere, but I didn't realize when or where or what game. Thankfully we saved. I mean... Let's see. The funny thing is, like, I probably just look up a real-world map. Do you know what? We need to get it wrong anyway, so I'm just going to pick this one. We need to get it wrong first anyway, for a bad end. And that one. How about you two, Onoe? We found two. Oh, but one of them was the one from the news yesterday. That's the one behind Sign City, right? Sign City was a pair of buildings right to the west side of Shibuya Station. It was a hotel and office complex with its own private railroad. It had survived the earthquake 6 years ago. That's right, we went down a tiny alley on our way up through Danganronpa. Danganronpa, huh? The other was right in front of the 107. Danganronpa. Alright. Oh, so that gets automatically done. Okay. And in front of the 107. Should mark that information down too. Translated version PC patch in the Discord if you want. Cool. I'm intentionally getting it wrong here, but if you've got the one with the actual answers, I will probably need that because I can't read Japanese. So that would be very helpful. If I guess right, I'm going to be shocked, but I'm trying to go against the info I knew. It seems like the Shibuya station would probably be somewhere in the intersection of all the different roads and stuff, I'm assuming. And they mentioned going around a river, so I picked the things furthest from the station to the river the first time. That matches what I heard from the police. We found one device. It was right in front of Parku. The police seem to think that the monsters are active within a 100-meter radius of the portal devices. That's probably just as close as any of them dared to get. Of course, there's a chance that even if you got that close, the monsters wouldn't see you, or that they'd attack you outside of that area. The police know where all the portals are? Yeah, in addition to the ones you found. Jeez. It's a few portals then. That seems about right. Huh? Looks like they're surrounding the station. Does that mean anything? Does it mean anything? Maybe they don't want people in Shibuya using the station? Wings specifically to help out, yeah. Why? I vaguely remember hearing somewhere that that was one of the few downsides to this translation, was that there was a time you needed map translated and they didn't do it. But then we just never came across that. I was like, maybe that was for some other game. Don't ask me. Hey, Hana, do you know? Kazuki was still staring at her feet. Oh, sorry, I'm not saying it's your fault, Hana. I was just trying to figure it out. There's no meaning, it's all just coincidence. I spoke as if to reprove Serika. It was just as Nightheart had told me. I told you, right? Kazuki can't control her power. The fact that the portal devices are showing up at places people go to is a lot is proof of that. It's easier for her delusions to echo in places like that. I understand? Don't tilt your head in confusion when you say you understand. You don't understand at all. Anyway, this is really bad. What's bad? There are a lot of people stuck in the Hikaruo. Huh? Who? Weren't they supposed to evacuate all the people left in the station? Shibuya had been put under a heavy curfew yesterday. The police had gone around evacuating everyone they could find. Last night, all the train companies had stopped transit to Shibuya Station. They weren't sure the station would be safe. Alright, so that's definitively the Shibuya Station. The station had been shut down and the shutters lowered. A lot of people had been trapped then. There was a big debate online about how to get them out. As of this morning, one of the railroad companies had put together a desperate plan to send a train to the station to get the people out. I heard there's a bunch of people who deliberately didn't evacuate, and they're all in the Hikaruo. You know, there's all those homeless people in Miyashita Park, right? Those guys. I see. They don't have anywhere else to go. And was Gen there too? Who knew how safe it would be? The station's been sealed off, right? It's kinda like it was 6 years ago. Don't you think, Taku? Don't say that. A month ago, I would have been so excited, but only because I wasn't directly involved. But now things were different. I was partially to blame for this. I couldn't feel any excitement at all. We all tried to come up with plans to fix things, but no one had any real ideas. We knew the answer from the beginning. Since there was no way to control Kazuki's power, there was no way for her to get rid of her delusions. After about 2 hours, we started to realize that it might not be safe to stay at this school and decided to head home. Takeru, you don't have anywhere to go, do you? Why not come home? By home, she meant Alba dorm. She was right that I couldn't go back to Miyashita Park. There might be monsters there now. Taku's staying with Hana now, right? How lewd. She's like, gonna punch him. Why'd he shoot? Anyway, Kazuki shook her head furiously.
なあ宮代
Hey, Mishiro,
Furo
are you
to
taking
hide
baths while you're there? You run into her naked in the bath yet? First of all, showers. He definitely said lucky in there at some point. Second of all, you could hear when somebody was taking a bath and you just wouldn't do that. Actually, maybe feels better. Oh, what's that? That was all Ito seemed to care about. Yeah.
伊
Ito,
藤君いい加減にして
enough. I don't know if that ever actually happens. I mean, they're always together, right? It makes sense. Kazuki's face turned bright red as she pounded the wall. You could have punched Ito. We all would have been okay with it.
うん
Nothing like that happened, she says. I see. Sorry.
そりゃ悪かっ
It was rare to see Kazuki so upset.
それでタクルどうするのうちに来る
Situation partner number 1? Yes. Yes. Correct. So, Takeru, what will you do? Come home?
いや、行かな
No,
い。
I won't.
和樹を一人にはできない。
I can't leave Kazuki alone.
だったら二人とも来れ
Then
ばいい
both
わ
of you can come.
それもダメだ。
I can't do that.
Yo,
It might put the dorm in danger.
そんなことは
That's not...
タクそれ
Taku,
でいい
are
の
you okay with that?
あ、
Yeah.
そっか
Okay, then let's go, everybody. Come on, you two known.
あちょっと生理か
She starts getting colder the second he's not okay with what's going on. Yeah. Wait, Sarika?
タク花ちゃん
Taku, Hana, bye. Sarika smiled and waved, then grabbed Ito and Kurosu by the hand and went to leave the room.
タクル
Takeru,
Kazuki
take care of
noこと
Kazuki.
頼むわよ。
If something happens, call me right away. Got it?
Ah,
It's like, that's
nah.
literally the plan. Maybe not calling you, but this is probably calling you, though. Kurosu looked like she wanted to say more, but Sarika dragged her out of the room before she could. Kazuki and I were left alone in the club room.
勝手に決めたけど、よかったかな。もう部屋に入れたくないなら。
Oh, I
そう
didn't
言って
pick
ほし
up
い
on
んだ
that, yeah. The thing is, like, at this rate, it's such a... like, all of these endings have branched into totally different games, though. If even that, yeah. I just decided that on my own. Was that okay? If you don't want me coming over anymore, tell me.
うん
She shook her head again. That's all she'd been doing lately.
でも
But then she suddenly started to talk. She'd been so insistent about not talking when everyone else was around. Did that mean she trusted me?
セリカ先輩のこと
Is Sarika going to be upset?
いいの。
Upset?
タクル先輩が
If you come to my
私の
room,
部
Sarika
屋
might be
来る
upset,
と
maybe.
なんで
Why?
だって
Because
タクル
you two are
先輩
dating,
とセリ
right?
カせ
は
Huh?
いやいやいや。
No, no, no,
付き合
we're
ってな
not.
う
いし。
ん
Hmm?
だって
But you're
いつも
always
一緒
together,
だった
maybe.
か
それは幼馴染だからってだけだ。
Yeah, the amount of little details they've put into this. Like, I'm gonna have to, at some point, go back through the initial route just to, like, pick up on all those little things, like, you clever... Because we've known each other since we were kids.
うん
You're not
付
dating.
き合って
I
ない
didn't
ん
know
だ
that, maybe.
知らなかっ
Had
た
Kazuki gotten mad back there because she didn't want Sarika misunderstanding things? If so, then she'd been wasting her time.
それにしても。
Still, I can't
和
believe you
樹は
thought that.
少し意外だ。
I'm a little
他人に
surprised.
興味なさ
It
そうに
didn't
見え
seem
た
like you
から
cared about anyone else.
さてと、
Anyway, let's
僕
go
たち
home.
もそろそろ
Might be
帰ろう。
dangerous there.
ここも危ないだろうから。
But then I realized Kazuki had sat down at the PC to play ESO too. And she had her headphones on.
っていつの間
You
にゲー
gotta
ム
get your
始めて
gaming
た。
time in. I understand. Wait, when did you start the game? Sheesh. She must have been really excited to play her game. Having things preventing you from playing your games that are out of your control like that suck. As I know, when Optimum decides to come around and just be like, screw you. That's more streaming than games, but related. I can imagine having poor hardware sucks. But having access to better hardware somewhere else, like, I'm gonna go play it now, bye. Kazuki's gaze was locked on the monitor. She didn't look away for an instant. Her concentration was palpable. If I interrupted her, she might punch me instead of the wall. It wouldn't hurt to let her play for a while. 3 days later, since I didn't have much to do while she was playing her game, I decided to go up to the roof. Taku was never known to be a bright individual. Of course, I didn't go to the back. I just went up past the crumbling stairs to look outside. Still. The portal device was still floating out there. But unlike the one in front of Parku, there were no bodies anywhere, just a single red stain on the floor. Were monsters not going to appear from this one? I felt an indescribable terror welling up within me. It was so scary being here alone. Then go back? Okay, I ran back to the club room. Once Kazuki started her game, she wouldn't take her headphones off no matter how much I yelled at her. She was totally lost within her game, and had totally forgotten I even existed. I think he's confusing forgotten with actively ignoring because she wants to play her game and doesn't want to be bothered. That's right, that's who Hana Kazuki was. She wouldn't normally use her power to save me, regardless of the risks, or let me stay in her room. Normally, this was who she was. I'd been living with her in the same room for a few days, and so I'd forgotten that. Still, I was amazed how she could play a game for so long without any breaks. Didn't she ever have to go to the bathroom? Actually, I remember that Cool Cat Press had once done an article on gamers who never left their seats. They said a true gamer would rather keep playing than take the time to go to the bathroom. Don't listen. I mean, to be fair, I feel like don't listen to Cool Cat Press. It's not exactly shocking information here, but like, use the bathroom, people. Clearly. Filthy casuals using the toilet. Nah, use the bathroom. It's better for everyone. And you know what? Shower too. Use the bathroom and shower. Oh yeah, like, you gotta go, you gotta go. So if they had to go, they used a plastic soda bottle or something like that. When I'd seen the article, I thought it had to be fiction, but watching Kazuki, I wasn't so sure. Wait, did Kazuki ever go in a soda bottle? It's a mystery that will have to stay. No. What the hell am I thinking? Ever since I started living in the same room, I started having more and more delusions like that. It was just because I was a boy undergoing puberty, but later I'd come to hate myself for feeling that way, given all that was going on. Have a bedpan like Carmen, obviously. A huge noise almost caused me to jump up in the air, because if there's any fictional character that you want to be like, it's Eric Cartman. Definitely. 100%. He's just so relatable and admirable as a person. Kazuki had hit the wall again. What had happened this time to upset her? It was Taku 1. I looked outside the window. The sky was turning red. It was surprisingly noisy outside. There wasn't a single person inside or outside the school, but the noise was coming from the police sirens on the ground and media helicopters up above. The media had decided it was too risky to head into Shibuya directly, so they were forced to do the reporting from the sky. Still, felt like they'd been there all day, from morning to night. I was amazed they hadn't gotten bored. Without anyone here in Shibuya, it wasn't like there was anything that could happen. I mean, there's literally, Then I thought I heard a different noise than the sound of the helicopter rotors. I held my breath and listened. That was the WoW episode. Yeah. Make love, not Warcraft. It didn't seem like I was imagining it. I could hear the sound. It was a sound I'd normally never pay any attention to, but a sound that I definitely shouldn't have heard in this building. Someone's footsteps were coming down the hall. That was enough to bring back my memory of several days ago. That woman's still alive? Yeah. He is evil. Straight up evil. Particularly nasty sweat started to pour out of my body. I tried my best not to make a sound as I concentrated all my focus into my ears. The footsteps didn't sound like the person was wearing heels. Didn't hear any dragging. It wasn't that woman. At least that's what I wanted to believe. But then who? Was someone besides us in the school? But who? The others had gone home hours ago. Had they come back? But then why wouldn't they call or text me first? I peeked in the teacher's office when I'd arrived, and there was no one there. The only other possibility I could think of was that someone besides us had ignored the police warning and stayed in Shibuya. The footsteps were getting closer. I tapped Kazuki on the shoulder and made her take off her headphones. Someone's coming. What should we do? Hide? Run out into the hallway? They probably knew we were here. Nobody would come all the way to the 5th floor of this building otherwise. But then who could they be? Maybe the mastermind who was controlling that woman. If that was the case, it would be a very bad idea to try and hide. But it didn't seem like Kazuki and I would be able to fight them. We had to run. It was better than hiding.
Kazuki.
Kazuki, we're going to run. I saw Kazuki nod, then took a deep breath and opened the door. I ran out into the hallway. There was someone standing there, and I ran straight into them. I lost my balance and almost fell over. Someone grabbed my hand as I flailed it into the air.
大丈夫?
Are you okay? Huh? It was only then that I realized who it was.
Wakui
Mr. Wakui?
いや
Hey, so it
君
was you
たちだ
guys,
ったの
huh?
か。
The language teacher, an advisor for the newspaper club, and student council looked at us both and grinned. Huh.
一部の保護者から
There was a
連
call
絡があ
from
って
someone
ね
of the parents. Wakui nibbled on the dried squid Kazuki offered him, as he explained.
ニュースで渋谷の空撮映像が流れていたんだ。
Correct, he's done nothing, but has a portrait, so it's
人影が見えたって。
suspicious in this game. They were showing shots of Shibuya from the sky in the news, and someone said they saw people in the building.
それで僕がこうして様子を見に来たわけだよ。
So I came to check on you. Sheesh, they can't cut me a
人使い
break,
荒いよ
huh?
ね。
All I could do was laugh. It's just like Wakui to end up being forced into coming here because he couldn't bring himself to refuse. We managed to make it here because we knew a lot about the situation in Shibuya, but Wakui must have come here without doing any research at all. Wrong-siders like him were always the first to die. Wow, dude! Too much time in peaceful Japan had addled his brain. You're younger than him. Presumably by a good amount. You've also only known okay. It's fine. It's
一
fine.
体何をしていたんだ
What were you
い
doing? They closed the
危
school
ないから
because it's
休校になって
dangerous.
いるのに。
Now, how to talk my way out of this? There's no point in telling Wakui the truth. As I tried to figure out the best way, Kazuki walked back to the computer and booted up ESO2 again. Wakui stared at her suspiciously for a moment.
も
Were
し
you
かして
playing video games? Kazuki nodded without looking away from the screen. So that's why. You guys know people have died, right?
外をほっつき歩くより
It's safer to be inside the school than outside, right?
安全では。
それを言うなら渋谷
That's
から出た方
the
がいいんじゃないかな。
the 4chan wars. I was there in those days. I can't even think of any, like, anything further for that for 4chan, yeah. But wouldn't it be even safer to leave Shibuya altogether?
僕は宮下公園
I
に
live
住
in
んでます
Miyashita Park.
ああ、そうだっけ。
Alright, there's nowhere you can
他に頼れるところ
go.
は
Some
ない？
relative's place? Oh yeah, no, it's super suspicious that he has a portrait and hasn't done anything in this game. Oh, I feel you. I'm not disagreeing. Everybody sucks because it really bothers me. Yeah! Let people be peaceful. This conversation was pointless. I'd known Wakui since I started the newspaper club, and I never told him I didn't have any relatives.
まあね。
Anyway,
君たちの気持ちも
I do understand how you feel.
いや、渋
I
谷
mean,
に戒
Shibuya
厳
is
令が
basically
敷かれ
under
たような
martial
状
law,
況にな
right?
って
It's
る
not
で
every
し
day
ょ。
you get to experience that.
危険だと分かっていて
Even
も
if you know it's
ついその
dangerous,
危
you
険
still
の
want
中
to
に飛び込み
experience it, I
若
guess.
気の至りと言っちゃ
I guess
そ
it's
こ
one
ま
of
で
the
なんだ
follies
け
of
どさ。
youth.
でも
But I
僕
don't
は
think
そ
there's
の
anything
若
wrong
気の
with that,
至りという
honestly.
おや
Searching for Weskers. Oh, you seem confused to hear that. Just so you know, I was young once too. You don't say. I hadn't been confused. I had been bored. Felt like this was going to take a while. And he was totally trying to pull off the teacher who understands his students act. There's nothing wrong with that, Mr. Wakui, but you're wasting your time trying to understand me and Kazuki right now. Alright, he's got a point on that one. The young always want to rebel against the system, against the adults. In fact, the first few decades after World War II, Japan was filled with young people like that. Guess it was around my parents' generation when things started to calm down. They were a little too understanding, you see, especially my generation and the one after us. Huh. Wasn't sure how to respond to this. What was the best way to get rid of this guy? I couldn't let him find out that Kazuki and I were staying in the same room, which meant that ideally I wanted to leave the school without him. My phone started to vibrate in my pocket. Wakui was still talking, but I took it out anyway as a sign that I wasn't interested in hearing what he had to say. Taku, master of subtlety. I had a message. It was from Kazuki. From Kazuki. I looked up. Kazuki was still playing ESO2 with her back to me. But when I looked carefully, I saw that she was holding her smartphone with the hand that wasn't holding the mouse. Why would she send me a text message if I was standing right in front of her? It was always so hard to tell what Kazuki was thinking. That's why she texted you, you idiot. Okay. Or maybe there was something important that she couldn't tell me because Wakui was here. Maybe you could just read the message. Anyway, I looked at the message. Huh?
Miyashiro-kun?
Yeah, sure. Something wrong.
ああ、いえ。
Oh, no.
そう
Yeah,
まあ
alright.
いいけど。で、どこまで話した
Anyway,
っけ
where was I? Well, you see,
つ
Wakui
ま
was
り
still
ね
talking. Was he always this talkative? My heart was pounding loud and fast. My mind still couldn't process it. I couldn't believe what I just saw in the text message. Help. Just tell us the message, game. Just tell us the message. Took another look at it, being careful not to let Wakui see. Message from Nightheart. Mr. Wakui is an assassin from the committee. What? How would Nightheart know? How would Nightheart know? How would Nightheart know? But also apparently Wesker, so... Okay. The committee would be the Committee of 300. That Nightheart had been talking about, right? Their assassin was Wakui? Nightheart is also Taku 1, so basically yes. He's investigating the 300, but how would he know? That's true. I refuse to believe that Taku would figure it out, but I'd believe that Daru could find it out. The language teacher, the guy who was rambling on in front of me?
ところで
By the way,
なんだっけ
what's the name of that thing you were
宮代君たち
looking
がし
into?
え
Huh?
ほら、
You
そこ
know,
の
the
ボー
one
ド
on
に
the
貼って
board.
あるやつで何か分かった
Did you find something out?
あ
Should I believe him or not? Nightheart had said that the Committee of 300 might take action, but he hadn't told me why. What were they after? If he was an assassin, were they trying to kill me and Kazuki? Did they not like what was happening in Shibuya right now? To be fair, I don't think a lot of people like what's happening in Shibuya right now. Of course. Oh, damn it. No one would like it, not just the committee. But killing us wouldn't make things better. Did the committee not know that? What if I told them? Would they really just leave me alone? Was there another reason they wanted to kill us? I didn't know. There's no way for me to know. It was all just guesses. Was what Nightheart had said even true anyway? Did the Committee of 300 really exist? Where did he find out? How? What was his source? Looking back, it was hard to say if he was even on our side. Kazuki seemed to trust him, though. Was it possible that Nightheart was the real assassin? I wanted to be really skeptical. I couldn't even be sure that Nightheart had contacted Kazuki just now. Kazuki. There was a chance she was lying to me. I didn't know why, but there was a chance she might be trying to make me think Wakui was a bad guy. Okay. There were all sorts of things to doubt. I was so confused. What should I believe in? Who? Who should I believe in? Who was I supposed to believe?
おーい
Hey, Mishiro.
宮代君
Hearing my name called shook me out of the trance. Evidently, I'd been lost in thought.
顔
You look
Oh,
kind of
come on.
pale.
ああ、いえ。
Oh, no. What were we talking about again?
事件のことです
About the
か
case?
そうそう
That's right. You were doing a lot of crazy things while you were looking into it, right? I believe in Daru. He's a good guy, yeah. I mean, he doesn't even know about Daru. Whose Weskers are those Weskers? Kazuki looked over his shoulder at me. When I saw the little bit of fear in her eyes, I made my decision. That's right. Whether or not I could trust Nightheart, there was no way I couldn't trust Kazuki. She wasn't the type of person who could lie to someone. And it didn't make a lot of sense for Wakui to be here right now. He was the type of person who'd get out of his way to avoid trouble. Would he really put himself in danger by coming to Shibuya just because a parent had called?
だいぶ前に
Curse was complaining to me a long time ago.
宮代君が
She said that you weren't listening to anything she said, so she wanted me to talk to you.
は
Huh. But then why was Wakui rambling on like this? If he was an assassin, wouldn't he just try to kill us? He's trying to bore you to death. It wouldn't send a complete amateur. He should be capable of killing us. I realized I was more nervous than I thought, but I couldn't let it show. Oh, I assure you, you're letting it show. If Wakui found out, I was finished.
いや僕もね
You
学
know,
生の
when
頃
I
に
was a
世
student,
界各地
I
で
would
起
hear
きて
about
いる
wars and
戦争や
terrorist attacks
テロ
going
事
on
件
all
なん
over
か
the
を見
world,
聞
and
き
I'd
して
think about it a lot.
それでバックパッカー
I
として
actually ended
旅
up
に出
putting
た
on
り
a
してね
backpack and going on a trip. You know, one of those find yourself trips?
意外ですね。
I'm kind of surprised.
だろう僕もあの頃
Right?
は
I was
若か
young
った
then.
な
What could be the reason that Waku was still talking about all this? I could eliminate the possibility that Nightheart was wrong. If he was, then I'd be fine. It'd be safer to assume the worst case. Possibility number 1. He was trying to drag out the conversation to learn something from us. His target might be just me, or it might be just Kazuki. What if he wasn't sure who it was yet? Perhaps he was only after the person who created the portal device, and he wasn't sure if that was me or Kazuki. Possibility number 2. He was hesitant. He was our club advisor after all. It was possible that he felt some kind of sympathy for us. No, there's no chance of that. Does that look like the face of sympathy? But, you know, I took your side. I understand how Kurusu feels, but, you know, I'm a man like you. Was he just waiting for us to fall into some trap? Or was he just not worried because he didn't think we knew who he was? Sent a quick message back to Kazuki. We're going to run. As somebody who's once a boy, I sympathize. Wasn't it just that you were too lazy to come lecture me? How rude. Well, to be honest, you're right. Immediately, an answer came from Kazuki. How? For now, I just wanted to get out of this room. And get away from Wakui, too, if I could manage it. But you know, it's not good to go too far. Huh? You're still students, you see. If you break the law, you could ruin your whole futures. You mean the reporting we're doing? No, we haven't done anything wrong. That scared me. I thought he was talking about something else. The next thing I knew, my throat was parched. I gulped down the entire Mountain View I just bought from a vending machine earlier. This was looking bad. I like the high, up close Mountain View. I don't know if I took this one before, but now we did. Both Kazuki and I were powerless. There's basically no chance of both of us getting away. I might have to pick the better of two bad choices. It's my one hope for avoiding the worst possible outcome. Hey, Kazuki. Kazuki jerked upwards when I spoke to her. She slowly, fearfully turned around. She was so nervous her movements were stiff. Come on, act natural. Can you go get me something to drink? I just ran out. Wait, Nishiro, are you still planning on staying here? I really have to get you guys home. I want to hear more about what you have to say. That's true. I'm assuming this is the bad end. So, like, unless I pick... The only ways this aren't the bad end are if I somehow magically picked right, or that wasn't the one that was important and we'll have another map segment at some point. Because all it says is just, the route has a map trigger segment which must be completed correctly to finish this chapter. That's it. So, I want to hear more about what you have to say. What? Really? That makes me happy. Students these days always seem to get bored when I talk about old times. Why don't we do an article for the newspaper club? We could do a whole special on you. No, you're embarrassing me. I was shocked to find that I was speaking as well as, say, Ito. And Kazuki wants to keep playing her game for a while, right? Kazuki stood up, uncertain. I'll stay here for a while, so go get me something to drink from the vending machine. Took a coin out of my pocket and practically forced it into Kazuki's hand. Thanks. Run away without me, I tried to motion to her with my eyes. Didn't know if she understood. She nodded reluctantly. Then she slipped past me and headed for the door. Kazuki, are you okay? Want me to go with you? Was he watching us? Did he figure us out? His expression was the same as it had been for a while now. It was the same goofy look the students always joked about. She says she's fine. There's nobody here in the school right now. If you want something to drink too, maybe ask Kazuki to get it for you? Then I realized that I might have made a mistake. Kazuki's hand was already on the doorknob. Oh, maybe I will. I'll take a can of coffee, the one with a little bit of sugar. You know the one I mean? It says for mornings on it. It's in a red can. Kazuki glanced at me. You're worrying too much about me. They'll figure out that something's wrong. Wakui was rummaging through the inner pocket of his suit. I never put coins in my wallet, you know. I always keep them in different pockets. So if I ever drop my wallet, I won't lose as much money. That doesn't go for bills, though. I put them in the bill holder. Really was talkative today. How long did it take to search for change?
それにほら
You know, if you forget where you put your money, when you find it again, you feel like you've made a lucky
後で
discovery,
さ
right?
そういうささや
We
か
need
な
these
喜
kinds of
び
small
が
joys in life.
先生、いい
Mr.
から早
Wakui,
くお
hurry
金
up and
渡
give
し
her
て。
the money. I'm really
僕喉
thirsty.
が渇いて仕方ないんですよ。
I got a little aggravated, and my tone was a bit harsh. But I instantly regretted it. If I didn't act calm, Wakui would figure out what I was up to.
悪いね。なかなか見つ
Sorry,
から
I'm
なく
having
て
so much trouble finding it. Ah, here we go. Pulls out a gun. Wakui finally took 200 yen out of his pants pocket.
じゃ
And a
よ
gun!
ろしく。
Okay, thanks.
うん。
Or not. Kazuki spread out her hand. It was holding the few coins that I'd given her. Wakui put his hand over hers and dropped 2 100 yen pieces. The coins fell and collided with the coins in Kazuki's hand. Didn't make a sound. Huh? That's weird. This close, I should be able to hear the sound of 2 small pieces of metal colliding. Wakui was rummaging through his pockets again as he opened and closed his mouth. What was he doing? It felt weird. Suddenly I realized why. Wakui was talking to Kazuki, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. Why? I put my finger to my ear to see if it was clogged, and then I noticed something else weird. Normally I would be able to hear the sound of my fingertips touching my eardrum. But no matter how many times I jammed my finger into the small hole, I didn't hear a sound. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard any other sound for a while either. Why? What was going on? I spoke to Kazuki. I thought I said that, but I couldn't hear my own voice. Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was just looking at the coins in her hand as if she was about to cry. I yelled louder, but it didn't work. Why? This didn't make sense. My hearing was normal a second ago. There was no way I could just go deaf like that, which meant something was going on. But I had no idea what it could be. I tried to tell myself that I might be hallucinating. I closed my lips and stood as still as I could, listened carefully. It wasn't pure silence. I could hear what sounded like a ringing in my ears. I could still hear it. How did ringing in your ears work again? Was it really sound in the strictest sense? Was it made by vibrating air, or was it some kind of supersonic wave? Suddenly, I felt very nervous, and I opened my web browser on my phone to run a search. When I read what I found there, I got scared. Stress is said to be one cause, but it's still unknown where exactly the body it occurs. What the hell? I'm sure that modern medicine would have an answer for that. How could they just say they didn't? Is this really the important thing right now, Taku? Focus. Focus! Once I started noticing it, I couldn't ignore the ringing. The constant noise started to seem extremely unpleasant. Why was I hearing this ringing and nothing else? I looked back at Kazuki. She was holding her ears and looking around frantically. Was it happening to her too? I tried yelling. Kazuki didn't respond, but Wakui looked at me. His lips twisted into a grin. It was him! He was like a totally different person. The face of lazy, unreliable teacher changed completely. The easygoing, peaceful smile was gone. That was when I knew. He was an assassin from the committee, just like Nightheart had said. What was happening to me was because of his attack. But how could he be doing that? Is he a psychic too? Ah, felt like the ringing was going louder. It's all I could hear. It kept ringing at the same frequency, never letting up. It's like it was stabbing into my brain. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. There's no point in putting my hands over my ears. The ringing hadn't even been there for that long, but I already felt like I was going crazy. I screamed. I tried yelling as loud as I could. But it didn't work. No matter how much I howled, I couldn't hear my own voice. Who could have known it would be so stressful not to be able to hear your own voice? I put my hand to my throat and screamed again. My vocal cords were vibrating. I must be speaking. But all I could hear was the noise. Was this really just a ringing in my ears anyway? It seemed like endless thunder in the sky. Maybe I was starting to go crazy. Maybe hearing the ringing for so long meant that I couldn't even recognize it as ringing anymore. Maybe I was just hallucinating. My head started to hurt. Maybe. My field of vision kept wavering. I couldn't keep my balance. Even standing up became difficult. I was like standing on the deck of a ship during a storm. I fell to my knees, unable to stay up any longer. I begged to hear another sound. I slapped my own body and slammed my smartphone to the ground, desperate to hear any other kind of sound, but it didn't work. Then I felt my phone vibrating and looked at the screen. I had a message. Was it from Kazuki? Maybe she found a solution. I opened it, hopeful. But of course, my hopes were immediately crushed. It was from Wakui, not Kazuki, and this is what it said. They say that in a completely silent environment, a human will go mad within 45 minutes. I looked up. Wakui was looking down at me with a cruel smile on his face. There's a can of coffee in his hands. I wasn't sure when he'd gotten it. I took a slow sip from it and laughed. What happened to Kazuki? I spun my head around, desperately looking for her. She was rolled up in a ball by the entrance to the room. Yeah. They don't really mention that bit. I don't know how deafness works. Like, I don't know if you can still hear some amount of, like, your own, like, body. Like, I don't know. I am not deaf myself. I've known several people who were, but I didn't ever think to ask them that. Not sure if it would be rude anyway, but never even crossed my mind. Yeah, I'm sure there's a spectrum of, like, absolutely cannot hear anything, can't hear things super well. Like, I'm sure it varies. So I'm not sure. We'll just ignore that bit. Blindness is on a scale. Oh, absolutely, yeah. She'd covered her ears with her hands and was shaking. She couldn't escape either. Had Wakui known all along? That we knew who he was and were trying to escape? I thought I could get the initiative, but he'd been laughing at me the whole time. Still, wasn't there anything that could be done about this ringing? I thought it was a constant frequency, but it wasn't. It was a faint rhythm. What was the sound? I wanted to get rid of it somehow, otherwise I might really go crazy, like Wakui said. Then my phone shook again. It was another message from Wakui. Do you want to know what that sound is? I looked up at Wakui and nodded. He laughed. He seemed truly happy. He moved his lips in a big, easy-to-read motions. It's the sound of your body. It's only then that I realized that I made so much noise. There were so many different chaotic noises within my own body. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not because he's deaf. Maybe it's because he just can't hear external sounds. Maybe that's what they mean. I don't know. It made sense. It was normal for a living creature. My heart beat, my blood vessels contracted, my blood cycled, my cells died and were born. My lungs inhaled air and exhaled carbon dioxide. My organs emitted all kinds of different fluids. My intestines contracted, my nails grew, my hair grew. All of these things made tiny little sounds. Normally, you would go through your entire life without hearing the sounds your own body made. But now, with my senses of hearing shut off, they were overflowing from within me. They were the sounds of my life. There was no joy in hearing the breath of life so directly. I wasn't trying to make these sounds. It felt like my body wasn't mine. It felt like someone was giving my body orders without asking my permission, and once I started thinking that way, I couldn't stop. My mind and body had separated. There's nothing but the terrifying sounds of life. My own body scared me. I wanted to rip my mind away from this lump of flesh. I wanted to rip off my skin and yank out my lungs, my heart, my intestines, every single organ, every single blood vessel. I screamed in fear, but I couldn't hear myself. The only chaotic sounds of my body, or only the chaotic sounds of my body, as they played in layered harmony. And since there was nothing else to hear, I was forced to listen. I was forced to imagine which organ was making each sound. The sounds overlapped more and more, a disharmonious noise that bounced off the walls of my skull. I didn't know if it was a real sound, an echo, or if I was just hallucinating. My thoughts were swept up in the flood of sound. This didn't make sense. Why was I suffocating in a flood of sound if I couldn't hear? How long was this going to last? The rest of my life? Till I died? I couldn't stand that. Did he say that after 45 minutes I'd go mad? That wasn't even going to last that long. I didn't want to hear this noise for another second. Someone turn it off. I'll do anything as long as you turn it off. I'd rather die. I want to die. Kill me. I crawled along the floor and reached out my hand towards Wakui's feet. Kill me. I begged for death. I longed for the silence that awaited beyond it. He's having a good time, guys. A good time. Release me from the sound, please. Kill me. Suddenly, a sound like shattering glass traveled from my ears to the rest of my body. I could hear my own voice. The sound of my shallow breathing was surprisingly clear. It wasn't just that. The sound of my clothes rustling, the tiny chirping of birds in the distance, the sounds of the wind, of the leaves blowing through the trees, the sound of a patrol car siren, the sound of Kazuki's pained coughing as she curled up in a ball next to me. I could hear all those tiny sounds. I could hear every single sound in the world with abnormal clarity. What just happened? My vision was blurry. My head still hurt. but the sound was back. I'd never been so happy in my life to hear all this noise.
邪魔が入ったね。
We were interrupted, I see. Wakui spoke calmly as he walked to the windowsill. The glass in the clubroom window was broken. He picked up something off the floor. It's a ball.
高級ね。
Baseball, huh? A coincidence.
偶然
Or not.
ではなさそうだ。
A baseball had come through the window? And that had interrupted Wakui's attack? This was the 5th floor. Who had thrown the ball? The baseball team wasn't practicing outside, and this room didn't even face the baseball diamond anyway. The only people in the school, no, and the whole surrounding area should have been me, Kazuki, and Wakui.
宮代くんたちに手を
I
出すなら
suppose this is her way of saying that if I'm going to mess with Miyashiro and his friends, I need to give her a very good reason.
やれやれ。
Sheesh, she really does spoil you,
宮代く
Miyashiro.
んに対して本当に甘いね。
Wakui was saying something. He didn't seem to be talking to anyone. Wonder who the... her... He wasn't speaking to us. He wasn't on the phone. What was he talking about?
いいよ。
Alright,
今日の
that's
と
enough
こ
for
ろは
today, I
ここまで
guess.
にしておくよ。宮代くん。
Miyashiro,
Kazuki.
Kazuki, I'm afraid we'll have to
悪
continue
い
this
が
another
続きは
time.
またにさせてもらうね。
Wakui's voice was gentle, but he didn't even glance down at us when he went to the door.
一つ教え
I'll
て
tell you
お
one
くけ
thing
ど
though. Don't think you can get away.
君たちはやりす
You've
ぎた
gone
んだ
too far.
委員会は君た
The
ち二
committee
人
has
を
designated
世
you
界の
an
敵
enemy
とし
of
て
the
認定した
world. The matter has been
これは
decided, you see.
故にこの地球
No
上
matter
のど
where
こ
on
へ
earth you
行こう
run,
と
we'll use our
我々は
worldwide
世
network
界
to
規模
track
の
you.
ネ
We
ットワーク
won't
で
let you
君たちを
escape.
捉え続け
Ever.
るではまた
Goodbye.
気をつけて帰りな
Be
さい
careful on your way home. Cool. Wakui left. Kazuki and I were left alone. I could hear Kazui moan. I could hear her breathing clearly.
カズキ
Kazuki,
Daijoubu
are you okay? Surprised at my voice. Yeah, exactly. When you're already dead, you can just tell him whatever you want. Was this what my voice sounded like? Kazuki was still lying on the ground, shaking her head. Of course, she wasn't fine. I looked closer and saw there was a puddle under her legs. Her skirt was strangely wet too. She must have peed herself when Wakui had attacked her. It was just how terrifying it was. Why had Wakui let us go? Why had he tortured us instead of just killing us? I didn't know, and I didn't want to think about it. Didn't even have the energy to stand up, but I forced myself to do so anyway. Didn't want to stay here. Probably nowhere that was safe, but I wanted to get away before Wakui changed his mind. His mind isn't going to change. You're gonna die. I let Kazuki lean on my shoulder as we left the school. Of course, we saw no one on the way home. October 17th, 2015, Saturday. It was after 7 p.m. in the evening, but there wasn't a single train car coming down the Yamanote line. It wasn't just the trains, the whole of Shibuya was a ghost town. There was no light and nothing moved. The town itself was eerily clean. That's the big difference between now and 6 years ago. Makui went inside the pedestrian's tunnel under the train tracks, listening to the voices of the monsters howling in the distance. The night wind blew past him, colder than before. The moonlight didn't reach inside the tunnel, so it was extremely dark. Except for the lights. Wakui could sense a lone girl in the
お待た
darkness.
せ
Hello,
時
right
間
on time, I
通り
suppose.
かな
The girl he'd summoned moved away from the wall she'd been leaning on, then stood with her back to the moonlight. Her eyes shone with a strange light that made Wakui shudder.
これ返しておくよ
You can have this back.
Hold on.
Here. Wakui tossed the baseball he was holding at the girl. She didn't even try to catch it. Instead, it struck her in the chest and fell to the floor, where it bounced several
あ
times.
いらない
Oh, you don't need it back? Or was it school property?
宮代拓と
Tell me why you
和樹
attacked
花を攻
Takeru
撃した
Miyashiro
理
and
由を
Hana
教えろ
Kazuki. I mean, to be fair, in theory she knows the answer already. The girl, Sarika Onoe, said. It wasn't her usual feminine voice. There was an arrogance in it. Wakui was in a position to deserve her respect, but she showed no sign of it. He didn't like that at all, but didn't feel like bringing it up. The committee, as well as Wakui, its messenger, had decided to respect Sarika's position, at least for as long as their interests were aligned.
僕の返答次
Are
第
you
で
willing to
は
fight the committee,
君
depending
は
on my answer?
君はさっき
You
僕の
interrupted
こ
me
とを
back there.
妨害した
That
ね
was more than sufficient for the committee to
あの
decide to
行為
eliminate
は
you.
宮代拓を
I
勝
won't
手
let
に
you kill
殺させは
Takeru
しない
Miyashiro on a whim. If you
殺
want
そ
to
うと
try,
す
you
る
need to
な
tell me
ら
why.
その理由次第で
Depending on your reason, I'll either allow it or cut ties with it.
黙認ね
Allow it, huh?
ま
Well,
あ確か
that
に
was
君
the
と
deal
は
we made.
それにしても君は
But you know, he
いつだって
really
彼
is
のこと
all
し
you
か
ever
考えて
think
な
of,
い
isn't
ね
he? It's quite
実
impressive.
に潔いよ
The Committee of 300 was cooperating with Sarika Onoe. More precisely, they were allowing her to get away with what she's doing.
理由を教えろ
Tell me why. Sarika stared straight at Wakui. She didn't look away for an instant. Her face was expressionless, and it was hard to believe that a teenage girl could be so calm in this situation. The vapor wave tossing at him tosses at him only hit the fall to the ground. Wakui slumped his shoulders in a slightly exaggerated fashion. Our problem is with Hana Kazuki, not Takuru Miyashiro, you see. She's gone too far. This is the same nonsense we went through 6 years ago. We've been very quietly performing our experiments here in the city, and now there's all this chaos. Since she can't control her power, it's not fair to put all the blame on her, but still, the fact is her delusion is what caused this problem. The actions of this one girl have disrupted order in Shibuya and perhaps the entire world. There's also unconfirmed reports that Takumi Nishijo may be backing her as well. First time we get the... No, not the first time we get the name. They definitely mentioned him previously. This matter isn't settled. Not only will the world find out about Gigalomaniacs, but the whole world might be swallowed up by Hana Kazuki's delusions. I can see from the look on your face that you think the committee is overreacting, but that's just who we are. If the committee hadn't been this cautious, we never would have gotten to this point. Thus, we've designated Hana Kazuki an enemy of the world. But still, she is a very rare test sample, and it would be a waste to kill her. So the committee settled on a plan of driving her insane and capturing her alive. Yeah. Takuru Miyashiro is just an afterthought. I didn't think there's any other reason beyond the fact that he was with her. We have an agreement with you as well. I have no intention of killing him. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Once we have Hana Kazuki, the plan is to give him back to you. Of course, if you like, we can kill him. How about it? Serika thought for a moment and lightly kicked her foot against the wall of the tunnel. The sound echoed down the tunnel. You've told me your reason, so I'll allow it. That was her answer. So you'll let me decide whether to kill him or let him live, is that it? Yes. You're sure? It's fine. You really are insane. So long as Takuru Miyashiro enjoys it, you're willing to sacrifice the man himself. Or maybe you were simply born with different values than the rest of us. Maybe. By the way, I'm unfortunately not an entertainer, so I may not be as good at this as you are. Keep that in mind. Serika ignored his joke. Clear that she felt discussions were finished. Can I ask you one question? What do you intend to do after Takuru Miyashiro dies? There's nothing for me after that. Serika laughed, then turned around to leave. I see. How noble. Oh, no, there are monsters around, so be careful on your way home. But Serika didn't even bother looking back. Alright, if that's the deal, maybe I could be a little more open with how I act. I could lure out Takumi Nishijo too, that would be for the best. But for now, the problem is Hana Kazuki and Takuru Miyashiro. Wakui took out his phone and dialed a number in the contact list. This is a long way for a bad end. The phone rang for a while before it connected. Yes? Hello? I'm Mr. Wakui, the student council advisor. I need to speak to the student council president for a moment. Is she available? Dawn came. We'd spent over 12 hours running with no real destination in mind. If the answer's right, that would be hilarious. Especially because I was actively, intentionally trying to get them wrong with what little info I had. That would be great. After Wakui's attack, Kazuki and I had hidden the Shinsen Love Hotel. To be fair, I still saved right before that, so either way I can go back, and if I got the right one, I can get the wrong one. If I got the wrong one, I can get the right one. We're set either way, but it would be really funny if I somehow got it right. When my instincts are so bad that my honest attempt to get them wrong gets them right. All this chaos had turned Shibuya into a ghost town. There were several love hotels in Shinsen that had closed down. We snuck inside one of them, held each other tight, hiding and trying to make as little noise as possible. I knew that it wasn't going to do us much good. It was obvious Wakui knew everything he needed. But even if it was only a difference of a few percentage points in the likelihood of us being found, I wanted to stay somewhere else rather than stupidly going back to the dorm. Of course, spending all my time in one place meant that I had nothing to do but think and worry. He might find us if we stayed here. He might have already found us. He could attack at any minute. The fear became delusions, and the delusions threatened to drive me crazy. So every hour or two we would hide somewhere else. Since we couldn't get close to Shibuya Station, we went to bookstores, department stores, and McD's around the areas. They were all closed, so we used Kazuki's D-sword to break the shutter and go inside, then hide for just a few hours. But no matter how many times we went to a different place, my worry didn't disappear. The power Wakui had showed us was just that overwhelming. It wasn't physical power, it was psychological torture that drained all your will to resist. Just remembering it made my whole body shrivel with terror. Of course, I didn't get a wink of sleep. Kazuki was no different. She spent the whole time clinging to me and shaking. She was so weak she couldn't even walk on her own. She was physically exhausted, of course, but the psychological exhaustion was worst. She hadn't even tried to say a word since then. I tried to pry her off me, but she stubbornly kept clinging. So I had no choice but to walk with my arm around her.
Kazuki,
we're here.
着いたぞ。
We've been headed for a manga cafe. Fortunately, there were plenty of places to hide in Shibuya right now. The shutter was down at the entrance of building with the manga cafe. Kazuki, break it for us. Come on, please. Instead of taking her D-sword out, Kazuki just kept clinging to me. I had no choice but to try to physically force the shutter to rise. It didn't work. There was no sign of my power, telekinesis, manifesting itself, and I couldn't find my own D-sword. I didn't want to die, but I was so tired. I had no idea that running in fear for just half a day could be so exhausting. With nothing else to do, I slumped down against the shutter. Still, Kazuki wouldn't get off me. We probably weren't going to be able to keep running for much longer. Wakui had been quite clear. Well, I'll tell you one thing though, don't think you can get away. Thinking about the future made me despair. It was up to someone else whether we lived or died, and that someone was coming for us soon. Could we escape when he arrived? And if we could, how long could we keep running? We had no future. I even pondered committing suicide. The idea of facing Wakui's psychological attack again scared me more than anything. Maybe someone would come to save us. Suddenly, I heard a sound nearby, and I cringed before I even knew what I was doing. I crawled up into a ball to protect my head. I knew there was no point, but my instincts made me do so anyway. A short while later, I realized it was just the sound of a smartphone, and I gave a deep sigh. It was Kazuki's phone that was ringing, not mine. The sound kept playing, which meant that it was a phone call, not a text message. Kazuki was looking at me with terror in her eyes.
電話?
A phone call? Who's it from? The screen said no. It was Kurisu. Kazuki was unsure if she should answer it. If she did, maybe Wakui would go after Kurisu too. She wanted to avoid that, probably, but right now we wanted any kind of help we could get. It could be Kurisu, Serika, or Ito, even Nightheart. We just wanted someone to do something. I grabbed the phone out of Kazuki's hands and answered it.
もしもし?
Hello? Yeah, good morning. This is Wakui. Just hearing his voice filled my mind with despair. So, he's pulling that old villain trick. Yeah, great. I was too scared to speak. That's strange. I was sure I called Kazuki's phone. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. I'm sure she's right next to you, right? No, we split up. This couldn't be happening. That was Kurisu's name on the screen. So why was I hearing Wakui's voice? Thought for a second, and then the worst occurred to me. What did you do to Kurisu? Oh, you understand the situation already? I'm glad you're quick on the uptake. This full stream of happy? Yeah. Did you kill her? No, but I don't know what I might do in the future.
どういうつもりだよ?
Excuse me. What do you mean? Let's meet at noon today at the Theater Cube on the 11th story of the Hikaruo building. Can both of you come?
行かなかったら
If we don't, will you kill Kurisu? I suppose I will. I mean, I've just got so much cleaning work to do. Clean up from what you ask? Of course, what Kazuki did. So it'd be a big help if you would just show up. My bosses want me to go big, you see. Of course, I'm not planning on adding to the chaos. In fact, we're going to be censoring all the information about what's going on in Shibuya right now. But there have been several annoying little rats running underfoot for the last 6 years. You two and Kurisu are bait to draw them out. Of course, I have no other interest in you, Miyashiro, so as long as you're on time, there's nothing to be worried about. Thanks. See you at noon, okay? Make sure you're not late. Teacher's always sad when the students keep them waiting. Wakui hung up. Oh no. Kurisu had been kidnapped? I looked at the time on the phone. It's past 9.
クルスがWakuiに捕まった.
Wakui kidnapped Kurisu. Kazuki looked up at me in shock. Told her that if we didn't get to see Wakui at noon, she was going to die.
猶予は3
We've
時間
got less than 3 hours, huh? If we went, we were sure to die. There just wasn't enough time left. We didn't even have time to think. I feel like I was about to cry. But I stopped myself. Why?
どうして
Why no?
そんなの
How the hell should I
僕に
know?
わかるわけないだ
I
ろ
slammed my fist against the shutter in frustration. I knew the answer, of course. I knew it so well it hurt. This was all my fault. I'd gotten Kazuki and Kurisu involved just to save my own life. What should I do? What was I supposed to do?
選択肢なんて
There's nothing I can do.
あるわけ
I
ない
had no way of fighting against Wakui. Both Kazuki and I were powerless, but if we didn't go to the meeting spot, Kurisu would be killed. It didn't matter whether Wakui intended to keep his promise. Spoilers, he didn't. Our only choice was to do what he said. But
殺されに来い
He's
って
telling
言
us
っ
to
て
go
る
get
ようなもの
killed.
じゃないか
Just imagining it made my knees shake too much for me to stand up. My life was going to end soon. It had been a short life. I never thought it would end like this. He did explicitly tell you if you showed up on time, he wouldn't kill you. He did, like, explicitly say that, right? Yeah. Where are things gone wrong?
助け
I want to save her. Huh?
のの先
I
輩
want to save Nono. Just
助
this
けたい
once, she didn't say maybe, but it was impossible. She'd seen for herself how scary Wakui was. There was nothing we could do. If we tried to hurt him and pissed him off, he might do something even worse to us. Or better to just let him
ナ
kill
イ
us.
トハルトなら
Maybe Nightheart.
ナイトハルトなら
Maybe Nightheart could do something.
Nan-
Maybe. Maybe he could. But he always seemed really shady. I couldn't imagine him agreeing to help us like that. Still, we decided to talk to him anyway. There wasn't time to think about it, so we headed straight back to Kazuki's dorm. She loaded up ESO2 on her PC immediately. Nightheart was logged in, like usual. She quickly sent a message to open a chat log. Yo, you're safe? I was sure you were dead. I'm still alive. Only a few more hours, though. Give me the short version. Wakui took a girl from our club. We go to him at noon, otherwise she dies. Well, you're fucked. Thanks,
なんだよこ
Taku.
の人
What is this asshole's problem? See, and you were looking up to him just a few days ago. Now you know. Now you know. Our lives were at risk here. How could he be so relaxed? I felt like punching the computer screen. What's your plan? Help us? But I refuse. What? What? You monster. Sorry, but I'm not useful as useful as you guys think I am. I'm a lot less useful than your average and normal. I used to be pretty powerful, but at the end of the last fight, I wasn't even human anymore. I gave up my power to come back from that. Now I can't use it anymore. How much of that do you just make up? If you want to accuse me of watching too much anime, go for it. Anyway, Wakui's goal is to get at me. I'm completely powerless, so no way in hell am I going. I've got problems of my own. I can't just drop everything and come to Shibuya. Who are you really? I'm not important. What's important is Wakui. I told you yesterday that he's an assassin of the Committee of 300, right? He's nothing like the cash out syndrome patients that showed up after the Shibuya quake. He's more like me, 100% pure gigalomaniac. He's not as strong as I used to be, but he's still a powerful gigalomaniac. To be honest, you cash out syndrome patients don't stand a chance. What's cash child syndrome? It means you're psychic. Too lazy to explain anymore. So you're basically telling us to die? The Committee 300 didn't you as an enemy of the whole world, you see. So there's no way you can escape. That's what Wakui said too. I don't know if he's going to kill you, but if he gets his hand on you, you're not going to like what happens. We've got three options. You can abandon your friend and run away, and buy yourselves another day or two before you get caught. You can surrender to Wakui and beg him to spare your friend, but in Wakui's case, there's a good chance that he's not going to do that. And your last choice. The odds are incredibly low,
そんな
but
方
you
法
can
が
fight Wakui and try to turn the
本当にあるの
tables.
か
This way to fight him? Can we win? The odds are pretty much zero. Same odds as drinking a soda and not burping. Okay. Taku one is just the worst. Is that really possible? It's hard to tell if Nightheart was serious or joking. But both Kazuki and I were willing to bet on the smallest possible chance. But if you can pull it off, you'll have a shot at turning things around. Tell me, what can we do? The sumo stickers. Huh? We looked at one another. This was an amazing coincidence. I felt like there was a faint light shining down on us from above. Did we know about the sumo stickers? That was a stupid question. We knew all about them. Until a short while ago, we'd been obsessed with them. Yeah, the sumo stickers. There are a lot of them in Shibuya. Don't you know about them? I know them. I know all about them. Good, that makes things faster. There are basically two types of sumo stickers in Shibuya. We use the ones the Committee of 300 put up. Good so far? The designs are different? Stickers put up by the committee have the power to weaken gigalomaniacs and cash-held syndrome patients. I do think I got sick looking at them. That's the effect you're looking for. It does nothing to people without power, though. And use the stickers for your own benefit. You weaken Wakui. You slowly, tantalizingly strip off your shirt. You beat Wakui. You put on your shirt and leave. The end.
いや、突っ込みどころはそこじゃないから。
Thanks, Taku-1. No, that's not the issue here. Who would have thought the sumo stickers had such a secret? So that was why I felt sick when I saw them. Maybe the Committee of 300 wouldn't expect us to use their sumo stickers against them, but
問題は一体どうや
the
ればいい
question
の
is
か
how
ってい
we
うこと
do
だ。
it.
シール1枚の効
A
果
single sticker only has so much power.
せいぜいちょっと気分が悪
The
くな
most
る
I
ぐ
could
ら
do
い
is
じゃない
make
か。
him a little queasy.
それでどうやってワ
How
ク
can
み
we
たいな
use
化
that
け
to
物の
weaken a
力を
monster
弱
like
体化
聞い
Wakui?
てみる。
I'll ask. There's no reason for me to take off my shirt. What exactly would we do? The only way is to use Kazuki's power, right? It's not going to be that easy. Yeah, I know. Like I just said, the odds are as good as drinking a soda and not burping, but if you want to beat Wakui, you gotta work with what you got. You've got to be willing to take on the whole world. This is your last hope, and it's probably not going to work. Whether you're willing to try it anyway just because you want to survive, that's up to you, not me. So we're wasting our time. I'd expected as much. There's no way to use Kazuki's power to pull it off. I mean, there is. One of the reasons this had even happened in the first place was that she couldn't control her power. I collapsed to the ground. Giving up made me feel a little better. I didn't want to die, of course, but I could at least be calmer than when I was dealing with the fear. We're doomed.
僕らどうやっても
We're
死ぬ
dead, no matter what happens.
クルスだって見逃
And
してもらえると
Kurusu,
思う
do you think he'll let her
そ
go?
んな
Of
わけない
course
だろ
not. She'll be killed either way.
どうしようもないんだ
There's nothing we can do about
考
it.
えてみたら
Thinking back, everything that's happened to Shibuya is because of my own selfishness.
最初から潔く死んでおけばよかったんだよ
He's not wrong. He's not right in the way he thinks he's right, but he's not wrong. Should have just gotten killed at the start of all this.
そうさ
That's right, I
僕が
shouldn't
生
even
き
be
てるお
alive.
前はあの時学
You
校
never
で
should have
僕なん
saved me
か
back
助け
there
な
at
ければよか
school.
ったんだ
Kazuki punched the wall hard. The sound echoed loudly in the quiet room. You could hear her gritting her teeth.
私は
I
私の力が
hate my power,
大
but...
嫌いだけ
Yeah,
ど
that's right. Kazuki was always the type of girl who was open with her emotions. She used to punch the wall all the time when she was playing her game.
でも
But... I want to save Nono.
助
I
けた
want to
い
save
よ
her. Tears ran down her face as she told me how she felt.
新
I
聞
was so happy when Nono invited me to the newspaper
あ
club.
の部室に
Being
いら
in
れ
that
るの
room was the one thing that kept me going.
のの先輩に
I'm really grateful to Nono.
だから
So I want to save her. I don't want to abandon her.
助けたい
But save her how?
どうすることもできな
There's
いよ
nothing we can do. Can you control your power? You can't. This is all happening because you couldn't control it, right? Don't go blaming
分
her.
かってるよ
I know that.
だけど
But don't you care what happens to Nono?
私
I don't care what happens after. I don't want to think about it.
今の私
My
のクエス
quest
ト
right
は
now is to save Nono.
のの先輩を
Quest? This
助
wasn't
け
a
ることだ
game.
け
And she was never going to finish that quest unless she sacrificed herself. Once she was done talking, all she did was cry.
カズキって
Kazuki, you really hate to lose, huh? She nodded as she rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand. She was aware of that, it seemed. She hated to lose, which is why she was always so serious when she played her games. But would that be enough to make her want to go so far to help another person?
あカズキ
Hey, Kazuki?
なんでお前は
Why did you try to save me?
新聞部
Because of the newspaper club. It's a very simple answer, almost disappointingly so. To me, Kazuki was just the quiet, unfriendly girl that Kurusu had brought to the club. She was always playing her games, and she never talked, so honestly I had kinda tried to avoid her. The most I'd ever thought of her was that she was sometimes useful in putting together the data Ito and I had gathered on the computer. To me, she'd barely even been a part of the newspaper club.
喋らない私なんかに
You gave me a place to
何も言わ
belong.
ないのに
You let me stay there, even though I never spoke.
そんな先
I
輩た
really
ちの
liked you all.
タクル先輩
You
のこと
too,
も
of course, Takeru.
だから
So if you're in trouble, I
先
want to
輩
help
困
you.
ってたら
She was a much kinder girl than I'd ever imagined. She probably couldn't refuse when someone asked her for help. Once she felt like someone had been kind to her, she would never forget it. After talking to her, I finally understood who Hana Kazuki was.
助けたい
You want to save her, huh? If we wanted to save Kurusu and damage Wakui, we'd need to plunge the entire world into chaos, and then die before we fixed any of it. The odds were incredibly low, even when Kazuki didn't know what would happen when she used her, or even Kazuki didn't know what happened when she used her power.
どうせダメ元な
I'm
ん
going
だ
to
から
die anyway.
やってみても
Maybe we should
いい
give it
か
a
もしれな
try.
いな
タクル先輩
Let's do it. Together.
やろう
うん
Kazuki smiled in relief, with tears in her eyes. I didn't feel any better about it, though. If someone wanted to take my place, I'd gladly switch. But if there was some small chance that at least Kurisu could survive, maybe it was just a little better than letting him kill us. I left the dorm. We talked for a while about how exactly we were going to face Wakui, until there was just an hour left before the time he'd given. Fear filled my chest. I took deep breaths so that I could stay calm. There wasn't much we could do. More than anything, if we wanted to use Kazuki's power to its fullest, we needed to go someplace with a lot of people. The most populated place in Shibuya right now was the Hikariwo. Actually, every other place in Shibuya was empty. Ito had told me yesterday that people without any home except Shibuya had taken the place over. We were lucky that Wakui had told us to go there. Yes, lucky. The plan was to arrive early and just have Kazuki say as many words as possible. If something happened, good for us. It wasn't even fair to call this a plan, but with only an hour left, there was nothing else we could do. I'm ready, maybe. Kazuki came out of the dorm. Did you change? Just my skirt and underwear, maybe. Oh, I see. Kazuki had wet herself when Wakui had attacked her, so I made her change. Would have been better if she switched into something easier to move around in, but for some reason she was still in her uniform. If we wanted to get to the Hikariwo, we had to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal devices. Fortunately, though, after everyone's efforts yesterday, we knew where they were. I had the location saved on my Pokecom. We could use it to take the safest and shortest routes to the Hikariwo. Kazuki looked gloomy. We were going to die. I didn't blame her. That didn't mean we could stay here. If we didn't go, we couldn't save Kurisu. Let's go. I urged Kazuki on as we headed for the station. But I'd underestimated things. I'd underestimated how dangerous Shibuya was. I'd underestimated how much the delusion Kazuki had created had echoed. Oh, we saved the wrong information to the device. Because we picked the wrong answers, we had an incorrect map. I'd underestimated everything. That would be where the bad ending happens, then. I ran and found myself in a typical Shibuya back alley. How had this happened? There was a terrifying roar from behind us. The footsteps were loud enough to shake the ground, and they were getting closer. I turned back, afraid and in despair. A huge red dragon thing was following us through the narrow alley. Kazuki was clinging to my arm, completely out of breath. How had this happened? To put it simply, the map was wrong. There was a discrepancy between the map we'd made for the portal devices and where they really were. And because of that, I ran straight into the monsters like an idiot. It was my mistake. I'd been careless. Should have been more careful in going over all this with the newspaper club yesterday, but now that I'd screwed up, there was no sense in dwelling on yesterday's mistakes. At this rate, we'd both end up as dragon food. I wouldn't make it to the Hikariwo, and I wouldn't be able to save Kurisu. Didn't plan on surviving anyway, but I had hoped at least that Kurisu could. If I had got eaten by a monster here, I would die for nothing. Kazuki was still panting, her shoulders shaking with pain. Her forehead was covered in sweat. I couldn't count on her for anything for a while. This was my screw-up, and I had to be the one to fix it. I looked around. I was looking for my D-sword. If I could use that weapon to... I'd seen Arimura and Kazuki use it, and I knew well how powerful it was. Maybe that would be enough for me to fight back against that monster. Be better than trying my karate, at least. Yeah, probably. So come on, D-sword, appear! Of course, I had no guarantee it would. It was too much to hope for that I might find my D-sword here. But I had to pray anyway. But... it's gone. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Why? Why would it hurt? Would it hurt to help me out just this once? Couldn't help but complain to God, or maybe fate. In the face of death, in the face of overwhelming power, why couldn't they at least give me a little hope? Come on, D-sword! I screamed. And the monster screamed too. Oh no, I'd pissed it off. It was finally starting to calm down. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle a moan of terror, and in my mind I tried to focus on using the only weapon I had. I was looking at a scooter parked on the road, glared at it, and grit down on my teeth. I focused. Move, I said. If I could use my power to slam it into the monster's head, I could buy us time. Even if I couldn't use my D-sword, if I could at least use this. I wasn't able to use it at all when I'd been chased by the pyrokinetic, but this time... Move, 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 move. Excuse me, that's what you're for, right? That's why I was given this power, right? In comics and anime, your power always awakens at times like this. Now! It has to be now. I can't die here. I need to save Kurisu. So move, move, move. Move, 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 move. Move! I screamed. I focused. I bit down so hard that I drew blood, but my power didn't appear. Heaven had given up on me. Fate was telling me to die here. Sure, I'll die. I planned on dying anyway, but at least let me choose where I die? This isn't fair.
Kazuki,
Once again, I...
助けてくれ。
Save me. Made a selfish request.
あの化け物を
Do something about that monster. Of this tiny, weak, and silent little girl, I gave up and entrusted everything to her.
このままじゃ僕が
We're
死
going to
ぬ。
die at this rate.
光ようにも行き
We'll
ずり
die
死に
before
さ
we
れた
even
ぞ。
get to the Hikariwo. Kazuki had finally caught her breath. She gulped once and moved away from me towards the monster.
なんとかなるんだな。
You can do something, right?
なんとかしてくれるんだ
You'll
よ
do
な。
something, right? She shook her head.
そんなの
I don't know.
わからない。
Maybe, but
できること
I have to do what I
や
can.
るしか
That was all she said.
フレイムアークドラ
The
ゴン
flame archdragon will die. That's what she screamed.
フレイムアーク
The
ド
flame
ラゴンは
archdragon will
死ぬ
die. She was trying to use her words to make a delusion echo again,
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
but
無駄だ。
it's hopeless. It's hopeless, Kazuki. Your words won't echo through Shibuya right now. They won't spread. There's a curfew. No one's out here to hear you.
フレイムアークド
The
ラ
flame archdragon will die.
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
Kazuki must have known it was useless too, but she kept screaming.
フレイムアーク
Welp, but even her sad, useless struggle was cut off by a roar that shook the air. The monster had been keeping its distance, but now it howled and charged again. Its huge red body bore down on us. There was nowhere to run. We were going to be eaten, just like that reporter. Kazuki, do something! Wow. Kazuki readied her D-sword. She stood in front of the monster. She was so small compared to it, but I still had hope. Maybe that sword could do it. Maybe the D-sword could surely kill that monster. Kazuki attacked. She charged at the monster and swung the sword down. Go, cut through it! We're going to survive and make it to the Hikariwo. So please survive, Kazuki. But of course, reality wasn't so kind. The monster howled once more and whipped its front leg. Kazuki's body flew away. Its legs were thicker than tree trunks, and its claws were sharp. It was a simple matter for it to tear apart a human body. Just like stepping on an insect. Kazuki was killed. It happened so fast I couldn't even follow it. But still I screamed. The strength fled from my legs, and the next thing I knew I was lying on the ground. Couldn't stand. I didn't have the strength. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was an idiot. I was wrong to ever think that I could take a monster like this head on. It didn't matter whether I was using my power or the D-sword. Well, I guess at least it'll be quick. The monster ignored the bloody lump that had once been Kazuki and turned towards me. I underestimated it. All the monsters in Shibuya were just so unreal that it felt like I was playing a game. I thought that I would be the only one person who was okay. I thought that since Kazuki had created the delusions, they wouldn't attack her. Kazuki was dead. She'd been slaughtered by the delusions she created. This was insane. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think it was real. A huge jaw swung down in front of me. The breath that came out of it smelled terrible. Terror pierced my body as I heard the monster roar. I was forced to realize that I was powerless to do anything but become its next prey. The monster put no special thought into eating its prey. It just ate what was in front of it. The dragon opened its mouth, saw countless rows of teeth. It could crush a human skull the same way I could eat a candy bar. Sorry, Kurisu. In the end, I couldn't do anything at all. I couldn't save anyone at all. This was all my fault, and now it was time to take responsibility for all the chaos I'd caused. I could feel the monster's fangs bite deep into my body. And I could tell it had bitten off my torso. Just before everything went black, I realized that this was what it meant to become something's dinner. Kazuki Hana, bad end. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Slightly bad end. Let's go load that file and get those right this time. Okay, so it's posted in the Discord. Let me go check it.
それじゃあ一人ずつ報告していくか。どこでそのポータル装置だっけ？それを見かけたか。
General. Okay, cool. Pop that open into the browser. There we go. Okay.
実は昨日調査中に
Control car.
みんなから報告を受けた後で
じゃあ俺からな。俺は2つ見つけた。
Two portals.
恵比寿から渋谷駅に向
Loading
かっ
right
て
in front of the
明
Shibuya
治通りを
Police
ずっと歩い
Station,
ていった
Meiji
ら
Street.
渋谷警察署の手前に一つ浮かんでた。
Translated, but still a lot of text on the map, so give me a second. I see the police station. Okay. Between in front of Shibuya Police Station, down Meiji Street between Ebisu and the train station. There's the train station. I don't see Ebisu, but I see the police station, so it's probably gonna narrow that down. Right in front of Shibuya Police Station.
慌てて渋谷
Turn
川を
around and
渡
headed
って
across
桜
Shibuya
川
River
の方に逃げ
towards
たよ。
Sakura Kaucho. So there's the police station. Across the river. Where's Sakura Kaucho? I see the river. It's got to be somewhere over there.
で、六
When I
本
tried
木
to
通りを
cross
渡ろうとしたら
Roppongi Street, I saw one of the Shibuya Station South Exit Bus Terminal. So that's the Shibuya Station. That's south. There's got to be a bus terminal there. Okay. South Exit Bus Terminal.
あのモンスター。
Okay.
明治
So, is that the bus terminal? That's the Shibuya Station. Down there is nothing. That seems like the South Exit Bus Terminal, maybe? And the police station is literally that X, so that's got to be one of them. It's either this or this. That's too far away. That's across the street, so it's got to be that one. And it would follow that he crossed the river over. Oh, hold on. Okay.
107の
Front
前
107. 107 is... Oh, that one actually does say it here. It says 107, so it's got to be there. Literally 107. Okay. So we only had to place one more, I think?
僕が警察から聞いた
That's
情
just
報
what I
で僕らが
heard.
直接見つけたのは1個パル
Right
ク
from
前
the
に
Parku. I feel like they're too close to overlapping all on the station.
警察はポータル装置を中心とした
One radius.
半径約100メートルの
警察は
ああみんなが見つけたもの以外だと
That's about right. I suppose now we just let it fast forward and see if we actually get it right or not. Just let it go for a minute. Gives me time to take some tea. Now, I want to say based off the map that that's right, but... At least the fast forward is fast. We'll know soon enough if we're screwed again or screwed. I feel like there's no happy way this is going to end. I mean, the bad end was just we died before we planned on dying. Ah, this is new. Okay, just wait. So let's just make another save here. This is at least something. I mean, there's clearly a path. The Hikariwo is literally right down the center of that that gap in the top. It's basically where the map says it's like number 20, I think. Yeah, it's number 20 on the map. Let's play the map of my Pokemon. There's a photo of the map in the club room I taken yesterday. If we wanted to get to the Hikariwo, we'd have to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. The fastest and safest route was from Hekiho Dorm 1 to the station was... Oh, okay.
明治通りに出よ
We'll
う
take Meiji Street.
宮下公園の横
We
にあ
can
る地下
take
鉄
the
の入
subway
り口から地下
tunnel
に巡っ
next to the
て一
Miyashita
気に
Park
光をまで行
to go
く
underground and head straight to the Hikariwo. Kazuki nodded and slowly offered me a piece of dried squid. Did she want me to eat it?
これが最
So
後
this is
の
our
晩
last
餐とは
meal,
ね
huh? I gratefully took the squid from Kazuki and bit into it. The unique smell and taste filled my mouth. It's good. As I felt like I was starting to cry, Kazuki grabbed me by the arm. Her tiny body was still shaking. We were going to die, so of course she was. She may have hated to lose, but that didn't mean she wasn't scared. I patted her lightly on the back to encourage her, then started to lead the way. But our plan quickly hit a stumbling block. Our investigation yesterday hadn't found any portals around here, but
やっぱり
I thought there might be one here. We concealed ourselves as we looked down from the pedestrian bridge onto Meiji Street. 5 huge dragons covered in yellow and black scales were stomping up and down the block. When I looked in the direction of the station, I could see the distinctive light of a portal device 50 meters ahead of us. We went back to the park and hid. So it's fully
一昨
surrounds
日は
it.
なかったはずなん
Thing
だ
wasn't there yesterday.
あんな目
If
立つ
it
とこ
was
ろ
in
にあったな
someplace that
ら
obvious,
動
one
か
of
す
us
は
would
ず
have
がない
seen it.
じゃあ
Then
昨日から今
it
日に
had
か
probably
けて
appeared somewhere
出
since
現
we
したん
looked
だろうな
yesterday. So what do we do now? How are we supposed to get to the Hikariwo? There wasn't much time
ポー
left.
タル装置は
The portal
渋
devices
谷
are
駅を
appearing
ぐ
in
る
a
っと
circle
取り
around
囲むよう
Shibuya
に
Station.
光をは駅
The
のすぐ
Hikariwo is
東
right
側
next to the station on the east side.
電車は使えない
We can't use the
Shibuya
trains.
駅に
There
は
are
電
no
車は来ない
trains coming to Shibuya Station.
多少無理
We
す
may
る
have to do
しか
something
ない
dangerous, maybe.
正面突
Like
破
break through.
確かにポータル装
It's
置の
true
半
that
径
getting
100
within
メ
a
ートル以内に
100 meter
入っても
radius of a portal device
絶対
doesn't
に
mean
襲わ
you're
れるっていうわ
definitely
けじゃ
going to
な
be
い
attacked.
見つからないようにして素
If
早
we
く
can
駆
just
け抜けれ
go
ば
through fast without them finding us. What if, for example, we were to run from our present location, the back of the Miyashita Park management office, over the pedestrian bridge down the stairs and then to the subway?
いや危険す
No,
ぎる
it's too dangerous. Kazuki tilted her head at me in confusion. Why was it dangerous? Time for a lecture. No
あの
time
化
for
け物
lecture.
どもの身体
We don't
能
really
力
know
は
what
はっ
those
きり分
monsters
かっ
are
てないだろ
physically capable of, do we?
何しろ
They're originally creatures from a video game after all.
私
I fought them a lot in the game.
そういう問題
That's
じゃ
not
な
the
い
issue.
ゲームで戦うの
It's
と
different fighting
現
them in
実
the
で戦う
game
のは
versus
わ
fighting
け
them
が
in
違
real
うあい
life.
つらが本気出した時の足
We
の
haven't
速さ
seen
と
for
か
ourselves how
狡猾さ
fast or
は僕ら
smart they
好
can
み
be.
それに
And
仮に
even if
路
we
上
do
に
make
つ
it
いてる
past
奴
the
ら
ones
を
on the
やる
road,
操
we
作と
don't
して
know that there aren't
地
more
下
in the
鉄も
subway
い
station.
ざそうなった時退路がなくなる地上に戻るわけにはいかなくなるんだから
If there are, we'll have nowhere to run since we can't head back up the stairs.
それは想定される中で最悪
That's
の
the
事態
worst
だ
possible scenario, which was another reason I wanted to approach things from a safe spot. If we died before we could use Kazuki's power, there would be no point. We wouldn't be able to save Kurisu or hurt Wakui.
うん
Kazuki seemed to agree. I loaded the map image back into my Pokecom.
最寄り駅まで
There's
遠
not
回り
enough
して
time
時
left to
間
go
的
to
な
another
余裕もそ
station
ん
and
な
head
にな
around
い
from there. Thought about heading down the tracks from Shinshen Daikanyama or Omotsenso stations, but that wasn't realistic. Those stations were still running. If one of the staff caught us sneaking onto the tracks, we might lose valuable time. Was there any other way? Glared at the map.
地図上では抜け道はあるよう
Seems
に
like there should be
見
a
える
way through on the map. On the map, at least. The 100-meter radius around the portal device was just a safe zone the police had established. If we use that as a base to look at where in Shibuya was safe to travel, as long as we could get through this Saibo department store right next to the Tatsuya, we could make it out into the Scramble Crossing, and we had Kazuki's D-Sword to do that. There was no portal devices in Scramble Crossing as of yesterday. I knew one might have appeared, but that whole area is a complex maze, both above and below ground, and we might be able to escape.
ここを通ろう
Let's go this way. Kazuki looked at the route I showed her and quickly nodded. Sky was a cheerful blue, but beneath it the buildings were as quiet as the dead. As we ran through the streets, we could hear the distant howls of monsters. I felt like I'd become a character in a video game. We were going through a tiny safe area, dodging between the various danger spots, and that safe area was just something I'd come up with quickly. Hadn't had a long time to think about. There's no guarantee at all it was actually safe. The stress of knowing that a monster might leap out at us at any minute started to wear me down, but still... We broke open the shutter at Saibo department store and ran through the building, then across the abandoned Scramble Crossing and under the bridge. And somehow managed to reach the Hikariwo. The door was open wide, and I could see many homeless people inside. I hadn't seen this many people together for days. There were hundreds of them. Some were sleeping on beds made of cardboard, and others were enjoying a lunchtime banquet of drinks and snacks. All the voices overlapped into a chaotic spiral of noise. I felt strangely at home. Kazuki and I looked at each other.
これだけの数の人がいれば
This is more than enough
準
people.
備はいい
Ready? We had less than 15 minutes until noon.
やれ
Do it. Kazuki took a deep breath.
超強い力士
Super strong sumo sticker! Screamed it into the Hikaruo.
超強い力士
Super strong sumo sticker. Again.
超強い力士
Super strong sumo sticker. And again.
超
Super strong sumo sticker! All the people gathered at the Hikaruo were staring in shock at this teenage girl who'd shown up out of nowhere and started shouting nonsense at them. All the noise in the entrance hall faded into dead silence.
超強い力士シール
Kazuki's voice was the only thing you could hear.
超強い力士シール
It sounded like some kind of gag. She only screamed the one phrase. Her goal was to imprint it as deeply as she could into the minds of the people here. That was the best plan we could come up with in the short amount of time we had. That was it. Two great minds working together. Best plan they had. There might have been a better way, but as exhausted and stressed out as we were, that's true, they've been literally running for their lives. It didn't seem likely that we'd be able to come up with it. Of course, I didn't expect this plan to work. It was barely even a plan at all. But even so, since Kazuki's power couldn't be controlled, there was no telling what exactly it could do. The possibilities were infinite. Same way to created those portal devices all around Shibuya and the monsters that came with them. Maybe it would do something we didn't expect. Does this mean that all the homeless people play ESO 2? Because it's surrounding where they all are now. My hope was that it would create a sumo sticker stronger than all the ones in Shibuya combined. It's like a 19-story tall, like, kaiju-sized sumo sticker. At this point, it was all luck. I had no idea what would happen. Maybe nothing would. There wasn't as much time left at all until noon. These last 10 minutes were all we had left. All we could hope for was that something would appear that would help us fight Wakui. Don't, because none's here. Oh, true, maybe. There was barely anything I could do. Except maybe stay here with Kazuki.
超強い
Super strong sumo sticker! Kazuki must have hurt her throat from screaming so much. She suddenly started to cough and heave. But she kept yelling.
超強い力士
Stay Puft Sumo Man. Yeah, exactly.
超強い
We've already gone full Star Wars, why not go full Ghostbusters?
超強い
The problem being, it would impact them exactly as much as it would Wakui if they had a super strong sumo sticker around. It would impact them equally as high.
時間だ
It's time. Kazuki gasped and fell silent. But
もういいんだ
that's enough. But nothing had happened yet. Nothing happened. That was the reality. There just wasn't enough time for Kazuki's power to create something.
カズキはよくやったよ
Kazuki, you did great. We lost our chance to fight back, and at this rate, we wouldn't be able to save Kurusu either. The regret threatened to overwhelm me, but I couldn't run away now. I had to go. Told myself that I couldn't stop here.
ごめんなカズキ
I'm sorry, Kazuki.
Boku wa
This all happened because you saved me.
うん
Yeah, you know,
一緒に
doing a good thing for Taku really did just doom the whole of Shibuya, didn't it? Yeah. Together. Kazuki whispered and softly took my hand. I gripped her hand back. Her warmth made feel just a little bit better. The only good thing about this was that Kazuki said she'd stay with me until the end. Otherwise, I might have been too scared to go. Now look up. Go to Wakui. That's your last chance to save Kurusu. The homeless men were still looking at us in shock. We ignored them and headed for the elevator, still holding each other's hands. This route has far too much hand-holding in it. The theater cube was on the 11th floor of the Hikaruo. The entrance hall was called the Sky Lobby, and it was an all-glass observation deck. You could look out and see Shibuya from there. Even at this height, I could see how empty the town was. It's like time itself had stopped.
おい、君たち。
That's not menacing.
時間ギリギリだ
Hey,
よ。
you almost didn't make it! The entrance was empty, except for Wakui. He spoke like he was still our teacher, and we were still his students. Pissed me off. He was a bag of shit, wearing the skin of a teacher. I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. Oh, yeah, like you could have. Yeah. I wonder if this means he always was, or if this is unique to this ending. Like, was he always working for the committee and just kind of hanging back? There was a single chair next to him. Kurisu was sitting in it.
クルス
She didn't respond. She wasn't tied down or restrained in any way. She was sitting up straight, her posture excellent, with her hands in her lap. Her expression was lifeless. Her eyes were open, but there was no sparkle in them. Couldn't have.
クルスに何をし
What
た
did you do to Kurisu?
別に
Nothing,
大したことは
really.
ちょっとばかり
I just
過
brought
去
her a
の
little bit
傷
of
をえぐ
past
ってあげた
trauma.
ぐらいだよ。
お前
You bastard.
体を傷つけたりはしていないんだ。
Dead,
ちょっ
not
とおとなしくなってもらっただけ
physically.
さ。
Didn't hurt her physically at all. I just needed her to be quiet for a little while. I don't think it's fair to criticize me. Maybe he was like a contingency plan, yeah. My vision turned red with rage. I was overtaken with the impulse to punch him in the face. Kazuki gripped my hand tighter. Our eyes met. She said nothing, but she sadly shook her head. Thought I could tell what she was trying to say. Don't resist. You come here to be killed. We would turn ourselves over to Wakui in exchange for Kurisu. We'd run out of ideas. Kazuki's words hadn't worked. Our last hope was to do whatever Wakui wanted. I gripped my fist tightly and swallowed my anger.
クルスを
Please release Kurisu. We're not going to fight you.
あ、
Oh,
So na no?
really? Wakui chuckled and put his hand on Kurisu's shoulder in a friendly way. That was almost enough to bring the anger back.
その割
Thought I
に
saw you
は
trying
さっ
something
き
down there,
下で
though.
何
Shit, he'd found out. You were literally screaming. Like, yeah, he found out. Kazuki couldn't speak. I had to come up with something.
でも
But it ended up not working.
だから全部諦め
So
て
we
ここに
gave up
来
and
たんです
came here. It's not that big a deal to you, right? You're so much more powerful.
殺すなら殺してもいい
If
で
you
す
want
か
to kill us, then go ahead and kill us. But at least don't hurt
クルスだけ
Kurisu.
はそれぐらいのお願いは聞い
You
て
can
く
at
れ
least
て
do
もいい
that, right? He could. So you want to die that badly, Miyashiro? I gulped.
昨日みたいなことを
I'd
され
rather
てくれ
die than go through what I experienced yesterday. It would be
死んだ方
easier.
がマシです
I spoke honestly.
そうしたら楽
Mistakes.
そっか
I see,
な
I
るほど委
see.
員会からの指示では
The
ね
committee didn't actually tell me to kill you two.
あ、いや失礼
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't quite right.
和樹くんについ
They
ては
told me not
殺す
to
なと
kill
言われているんだ
Kazuki. You're a valuable sample, you see.
宮代くんにつ
As
い
for
て
Mishiro,
は
well, they honestly don't care that much.
彼女からは
She gave me her
殺しても
permission
い
to
いと
kill
い
you,
う
so I
許可はもら
suppose
っ
it's
た
up to
わ
me. Huh? Who was she? What did he mean it was up to him?
とりあえず
Well, we can work
宮代
out
くんの
what
こ
to do
と
with
は後で
Miyashiro
考え
later.
るとして
He laughed mockingly. It's kind of a cool D sword, like a 4D sword, and took out a sword. Its shape was so awful, so terrifying that just seeing it made me want to throw up. Felt like the physical embodiment of what a piece of shit Wakui was. Alright, that's a good one too.
まずは和樹く
First,
ん
we'll
に
take Kazuki. He put the blade up to Kurisu's neck
絶望してもらおう
and
かな
drive her to despair.
待て
That wasn't the deal. Yeah, bad guys don't uphold bad guy deals ever. Instantly, Kazuki shook off my hand and made her own D-sword appear. The blade whipped about like a snake and then hardened into a solid straight form. She flung it straight at Wakui. It's just a quick snap of the wrist with no wind-up at all, but it flew so fast that it created shockwaves as it traveled. Wakui blocked it with his own blade.
抵抗する気
See?
満々じゃ
You
ない
do
か
want to resist. You shouldn't lie to your
先生
teachers,
に
you know?
嘘はいけ
Let's
ない
teach that
な
lying mouth of yours a lesson.
嘘を
Look,
ついたのは
we
どの
want
口
to
だい
keep Kurisu safe. We didn't lie. But you're a bad guy, so it doesn't matter. Suddenly and inexplicably, Kazuki stuck out her tongue. What? What was she doing? I don't like any of this. She looked up towards the ceiling and stuck it out more. She stood up on her tiptoes, her legs shaking like a newborn fawn's and her head flapping desperately to keep balance. It's like she was being pulled upwards by an invisible fishing hook that had pierced right through her tongue.
カズキ
Kazuki, what's wrong? Tears formed in the corner of her eyes. Her expression contorted in pain. Her eyes looked to me for
子
help.
供の頃
Didn't your
親
parents ever
に
tell
言わ
you
れ
when
た
you
こ
were
とはない
little?
嘘つきは
If
閻
you
魔様
lie,
に
the
舌
Lord
を
of Hell will
引っ
rip
こ抜
out
かれ
your
るぞ
tongue. Felt something cold run down my back. I had a very bad feeling. Yeah, slightly bad feeling. Yes, slightly. Stop it! There's no time for me to even reach out my hand. Before Kazuki bit off her own tongue. Blood spurted everywhere. Her frail body lost its balance and collapsed.
Kazuki!
I ran over and held her in my arms. Her eyes had rolled into the back of her head and bubbles were pouring from her mouth as her body spasmed with pain. Huh? There was no blood around her mouth. So what had I just seen? Confused, I used my fingers to open her mouth. Her tongue was still there. This is the good end. Well, no, this isn't the good end. This just isn't the bad end. They didn't say this was the good end. This is just her end. It hadn't been severed. I looked around and couldn't see any pieces of it lying on the floor. Yeah, they're just normal ends. Waku was grinning. I'm sure a realistic dream of biting off your own tongue is quite the traumatic experience. But we're only just getting started. I need Kazuki to be very thoroughly broken. That's what we do with samples. I didn't even feel any rage. There was only powerlessness and despair. There was no point in even trying to fight him. I couldn't save anyone. Not Kurusu, not Kazuki, not even myself. Everything was up to Wakui now. All I could do was wait for the moment of my death like cattle. I hadn't even planned on fighting back when I'd come here anyway. I know I probably wouldn't be able to save Kurusu. That's right, none of this was unexpected. I would be killed, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. There's nothing more to it than that. No matter how much I had to watch Kazuki and Kurusu suffer, they were all going to die anyway. It didn't matter. Once you died, the pain went away. I was tired. Just wanted this over with. Maybe I should bite off my own tongue. What? You're about to break too, Mishiro? What a wimp you are! I'll show you what happens after we left off then. Wakui put the blade back to Kurusu's neck. Don't look away. Watch carefully. Look. The sharp blade sliced open the white flesh of her neck. Blood spurted out like a fountain. I watched as if in a trance. Kurusu's head had slumped forward, so Wakui grabbed it and lifted it up so I could see her face. Her expression was blank. There was no sign of pain, no sign of resistance. It made me feel just a little better. At least she didn't suffer. Wakui's blade was extremely sharp, and it cut through Kurusu's neck like a knife through butter. It didn't seem real at all. It was like watching the death of one of the characters in the game that I played with Kazuki. Wakui lifted up Kurusu's head and tossed it away. Landed on the ground in front of me as I lay there, her long hair wrapping around it as it rolled. I hadn't realized her head was so small. I stared at it. Someone walked over to me. Looked up. Kurusu's headless body was standing in front of me. The body slowly picked up the head, then went back to the chair. Then it put its head back on, the same way a person might put on a helmet. A low moan came from its mouth. Kurusu blinked several times and looked at me. What was going on? What kind of nightmare was this? Her head was connected to its body once more. Kurusu saw me and started to cry. Save me, Takeru. Save me. What was happening? Why? Let's change things up a little for the second time. Huh? Second time? What did he mean the second time? Wakui stuck the blade up against her neck again. Kurusu's features contorted with terror. Takeru, save me, please, save me, please. Stop. She just died. You just chopped off her head. So why was she asking me for help? No, I don't want to die. You already did. Don't look at me that way. Goodbye. No, 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 no! Stop. She screamed and shook as her neck was sliced open. Her screams quickly stopped and were replaced by a sound like air from a leaky pipe. Her head rolled down and landed on the floor with a thud. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, this is the first real full one we've seen. Even his dad kind of just used the machine to mimic that power. But, like, yeah. This is just him doing this casually. Just changing reality, you know? Stop it, please. What was going on here? Why did Kurusu have to get her head cut off twice? Kurusu had nothing to do with this. She hadn't caused any problems for Wakui or the committee.
覚だ
This is an illusion. This was an illusion. That's right, an illusion. Just a delusion that Wakui was forcing me to experience. Kurusu wasn't killed twice, she was killed once, and the second was just an illusion.
拾いなさい。
Pick it up.
Huh?
No. Wakui said something strange. Kurusu's body stood up in answer to her words, and picked up her head again. Then she put it back on her body. Was she supposed to be that hero whose head was stuffed with red bean paste? This wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. But maybe laughing would have made it easier. My vision blurred. I realized I was crying. I started to hear Kurusu's sobs. Hey, Takeru?
なんで私
Why am I alive?
今
He just cut off my head.
なんで
Why? Tell me, Takeru.
私
Why is Mr. Wakui killing me?
なんで涌井先生に
Felt like I was going to go crazy. Didn't want to see anymore. I wanted everything to go totally black. This was all a delusion. That's what I wanted to believe. When would it end? How many times would Kurusu have to have her head cut off before she'd finally let her die? How many times would I have to see her head cut off before he'd finally let me die? Couldn't take it anymore. I was sick of this. If I could just destroy my own mind, then I wouldn't be able to feel anything. I could be at peace until I died. That'd be great, wouldn't it? It would be okay, wouldn't it? And suddenly, there was a noise like a trumpet that filled the whole Shibuya sky.
この音は
The sound, it can't
ま
be.
さか
For the first time, Wakui's expression changed to one of shock, and he looked directly at the still unconscious Kazuki. That's right, this sound was one I'd heard already once before.
まさか
Can't be. Kazuki's power? Kazuki's words? Kazuki's delusions? Had one become real? A super strong sumo sticker? If it had, what form was it going to take? Please stay Puff Sumo Man. Please stay Puff Sumo Man. If nothing else, I couldn't see anything happening near where we were. Both Wakui and I listened carefully. Tried to listen and see if there was anything to be heard but Kurusu sobs. I looked around desperately, trying to find the sumo sticker. What was it? What had changed? I heard a faint noise, like a rumble in the distance. It was far smaller than the sound of the trumpet I'd first heard, but the floor began to shake in answer to the sound. It wasn't an earthquake. The tremors were spaced too close. Oh my goodness. If this is actually... It was outside. Something was happening outside. Ignoring Kazuki, Kurusu, and Wakui, I staggered over to the glass window. I wanted to see for myself. What form had Kazuki's last uncontrollable wish taken? In some tiny corner of my crippled heart, I thought to myself that maybe it would be nice if whatever it was destroyed this whole insane world. I realized that I was on the verge of going mad. But even so, I looked outside with a burning hope in my heart. I looked down at the city of Shibuya below, and there I saw it. Excuse me. I suddenly realized that something was wrong, and I didn't want to admit that it could be real. I thought it might be another illusion of Wakui's, but...
なんだ
What the hell is that thing?
ありゃ
Wakui had forgotten all about toying with me and was instead gazing in awe at the unbelievable sight before him. From the look of things, it wasn't something he had created. It was real. This was what Kazuki had created. When I realized this, I was awestruck. I mean, the scale was all wrong. Oh... It was holding the cylinder tower of the 107 building like you or I might hold a body pillow. We're here. It was shaped like a human. It was pretty pudgy. No, it was obese. The surface of its body was slick and shiny. Whether it was sweating or that's just what its skin was like, I couldn't tell. It's close enough, yeah. It was mostly naked except for a loincloth around its waist. Its black hair was oily and clung tightly to its head, but there was no top knot. Its hair was parted perfectly in the center. Strangely enough, its face had 2 mouths, 2 noses, and 3 eyes. It was not the face of a human. A sumo sticker. Its face was a sumo sticker. The center eye was closed, but the other 2 were flung wide open, and even at this distance I could see that the giant eyeballs were constantly moving. Its mouth was continuously opening and closing. It didn't seem to be eating anything. Whether it was sleepy or thirsty or maybe even trying to speak, I couldn't tell. Its movements were sluggish and lumbering. It's like a giant monster from a kaiju movie. Yeah, a giant monster. That was the perfect word for it. Just as tall as the 107 building, after all. Giant Sumo Sticker Man, at least that's what I decided to call him, had been interested in his feet since the moment I'd first seen him. If I remembered right, there was a portal device over there, and the place was crawling with monsters. Giant Sumo Sticker Man lifted up one of his feet off the ground and flicked it a little. It was covered with monsters clinging to it. From this distance, they looked like tiny little pieces of garbage, but I could still see them. Game is copying and tweeting. Yeah, of course. Also, hey Grim, welcome to this. How's it going? Giant kept shaking his leg, but the monsters didn't let go. And then, the two mounts howled in unison, and it slammed its left leg into the ground. The monsters were knocked off. In fact, he'd crushed the portal device itself. The pyrokinetic had been annihilated when she touched the device, but evidently it wasn't capable of handling something the size of a giant Sumo Sticker Man. The horrible portal device that had caused so much pain was crushed beneath the feet of giant Sumo Sticker Man. I started to laugh. This time it wasn't out of resignation. I hadn't gone crazy. I like how he sees this and that's his confirmation that no, I'm saying that's normal. Faced with the overwhelming size and scale of giant Sumo Sticker Man, after all the time I'd spent running and being afraid for the past week, it all just seemed kind of stupid. Wait. What the hell is that thing? That's impossible. It's insane. I could understand why Wakui was panicking. In the face of something like that, your only options were to laugh, scream, or pretend it didn't exist. Who the hell had dreamt that thing up? Multiple people had to share the same precise image. It was us. It was us. It was us, chat. It was us. It was us. Down to the smallest details for Kazuki's words to become real. Was that why they'd taken from super strong Sumo Sticker? It was a miracle created by astronomical odds. The human imagination could be a scary, scary thing. We did this. Kazuki had woken up and staggered over to me. I quickly grabbed her body to steady her. Her mouth fell open too when she saw giant Sumo Sticker Man. Is that... did I? Yeah, I'm sure of it. Then... Kazuki closed her eyes tight. Can you beat up Mr. Wakui for me? As if in answer to her words. Giant Sumo Sticker Man howled once more. And waved a giant arm, knocking down the 107 building tower. As the rubble and dust flew into the air, Giant Sumo Sticker Man looked at us. Did he recognize us, or maybe Kazuki? That's just an image. Giant Sumo Sticker Man's central eye opened. It was a black pupil with a crimson iris, and the third eye was looking straight at us. When it saw us, a sense of indescribable terror and exhaustion raced through my body. My knees started to shake, and I couldn't even stand. My vision blurred, my ears started to ring, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I imagined every drop of blood in my body freezing. My whole body started to shudder from the cold. It was 1,000,000 times worse than the sumo stickers I'd seen around the city. What happened to Wakui? I forced myself to look through my blurred vision. He was kneeling on the floor and vomiting. It was working! Giant Sumo Sticker Man was nullifying his power! Single face, two sumo faces. One face, yes. Kazuki had gone pale and was clinging to me tightly. I shook her by her shoulders. Give him an order. Giant Sumo Sticker Man might listen to what you tell him. Kazuki nodded through the pain. She looked out at Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Come here, come here. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. But he heard it. Giant Sumo Sticker Man unleashed a mighty roar from both of his two mouths and took a slow, ponderous step forward. His blubber shook as he walked. He traveled the distance between the 107 building and Scramble Crossing in only a few steps. Maybe he could sense Kazuki's thoughts. I had no idea how it worked, and I didn't care. At this point, there was no point in even asking questions. I couldn't get distracted. Of course, yeah. What in the name of God did you people make? What is that ridiculous thing? Don't you know what that thing's gonna do to the rest of the world? Wakui stood up and slowly moved towards us, shaking and wobbling as he moved. I slid between him and Kazuki and pushed him away. He couldn't regain his balance and fell flat on his behind. I have no strength. Is this the power of the sumo sticker? Yes. In giant superpowered form. I see. So that's it. That's why you made that thing. So what? It's an anti-gigalomaniac giant? That's insane! But don't think you've won. At almost the exact same moment that Wakui readied his D-sword once more, there was a roar from below that shook the whole building. Yeah, he's still talking a lot. I looked down to see what had happened, and giant sumo sticker man was lying on top of an elevated section of the Yamanote railway line. He must have tripped on it. He grabbed the side of the station building and used it to help himself up, crushing the tracks in the process, and then he moved forward and slammed himself into the side of the Hikariwa. The Hikariwa was struck with the force of hundreds, no thousands of Yokozunas. The body slams continued, again and again. The building itself began to buckle, and the shockwave sent us to the floor. The glass broke and poured down on us. I felt a cold wind on my skin. When the shaking finally stopped, I looked up to see what had happened to Kazuki and Kurusu. I was relieved to see that they hadn't fallen out of the window. This may not be a good ending, but it is the strangest. It is definitely the strangest, but Wakui was still alive. He stood up before we had, and was cursing us in rage. There was another huge shock. Wakui and the rest of us were knocked away. I was worried that Hikariwa might break. I hate to ask, guys, but can you do something about the thing? Oh no, never mind. Never mind. I'll just kill you first. Wakui didn't even have the energy left to keep up his good teacher act. He readied his D-sword, his face flushed with anger. He attacked us in desperation. Even though it was obvious he could barely stand, he was obsessed, but I wasn't ready to give up yet either. We finally had our own trump card, Giant Sumo Sticker Man. And I was every bit as obsessed with killing Wakui. Ew. I grabbed Kazuki's body in my arms and leapt outside through the broken window. Takaru? The ground got closer and closer. I was scared. If I hit the ground at this speed, my bones would shatter, my body would be crushed, and I'd die in a spray of blood and organs. Nothing to support me, nothing to grab onto. I couldn't keep my balance in midair. I clung tightly to Kazuki. Kazuki, make it catch us! Kazuki quickly understood and looked around for it. There's no need to look. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was right under us, clinging to the Hikariwa building. He twisted his neck to look at us. A huge flabby hand was extended beneath us and caught us. It was soft like a cushion. We were still going pretty fast though, so the impact was intense, but at least we were alive. I looked up. I could see his arm, his shoulder, and his giant sumo sticker face. Seen from up close, it made me feel even sicker. A part of me wanted to jump off and die rather than stay here. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and did my best to fight the impulse. I could hear Wakui's voice from above. They're still missing somebody. I looked up and saw that he had jumped out of the building too. A huge bird-like something out of an encyclopedia of dinosaurs had flown out of nowhere, and Wakui had grabbed onto its leg. Oh, well, he's a gigalomaniac, yeah. Slid through the air towards us. That bird Sumiya 2, maybe? It's called a Quetzalcoatlus. It was pink and almost completely featherless. I could tell by comparing its size to Wakui that its wingspan is over 5 meters long. His sword does look cool. All the D-swords look cool. There was no such bird as that, and even if there were, it wouldn't live in the middle of Tokyo, and even if it did, it wouldn't be taking orders from Wakui. Wakui's delusions had created it. Wakui flew past Giant Sumo Sticker Man, slicing into his shoulder with his D-sword. Its two mouths moaned in pain. Instead of blood, white sumo stickers spurted out of the wound. The wind carried them across the Shibuya sky. Cool. Wakui spun around in midair for another attack. Kazuki? Then I realized that Kazuki was holding the sides of her temples in pain. Her body was so hot in my arms that I thought I might get burned. She was feeling weak. I wasn't sure if it was because of Wakui's attack or the fact that she'd used her power. Or maybe it was because she was giving orders to Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Don't push yourself too hard, I screamed, unable to stand seeing her in that state, but she immediately shook her head and looked at me in desperation. She spoke the words clearly. Let's defeat him. This is our only chance. We have our weapon, so use it. Could I do it? Kazuki grabbed me by the necktie as if to urge me on. She gritted her teeth and whispered in my ear through the pain. Takeru, you give it the orders. Then we can fight. I could do it. I could fight. In fact, I had a monster at my disposal that was capable of ripping Wakui in two, which meant I would use that power to survive. Got it. Kazuki nodded, and Giant Sumo Sticker Man's fingers closed around us. He brought his hand up and sat us on his shoulder. Not the shoulder that just got stabbed, I hope. A little more unstable than his palm, but at least here I wouldn't have to look at his face. Just as I thought, moving up here made me feel a lot better. I had Kazuki summon her D-sword and plunge it into Giant Sumo Sticker Man's neck. Pleasant, giving us support so it wouldn't fall off, also causing him massive pain. 50-50. Literally everybody in this cast goes hard. Wakui was getting closer. He wasn't our club advisor or anything else. The Committee of 300 could go to hell. Hit him! Giant Sumo Sticker Man's arm flew forward. He smashed Wakui with an open palm, the same way you'd swat a fly. Wakui landed hard near Memorial Park. The impact could easily have killed him, but it wasn't normal, so I wasn't going to show any mercy. Crush him! In a single bound, Giant Sumo Sticker Man covered the distance between here and Memorial Park. He could jump an amazing distance for a fat man. Kazuki and I clung as tightly as we could to the D-sword in order to avoid falling off. He landed hard, crushing the area where Wakui had fallen. The impact kicked up rubble and dust around his feet. Did we win? I looked down into the dust. Wakui's D-sword flew up through the cloud. It was so fast that there was no time to dodge. The sharp blade stabbed into my shoulder. It tore through flesh and bone. The pain was incredible. I felt like I was going to pass out. Kazuki held me up. She grabbed my hand and placed it on the D-sword. It was just barely enough to keep me from falling. I bit my lip to get through the pain, and looked in the direction of the sword it had come from. So anybody can throw it, it's the making it come back that seems to be better for Taku. Wakui was down there, covered in blood and looking up at us in fury, just a little from the spot where Giant Sumo Sticker Man had landed. Kick him away! Giant Sumo Sticker Man flicked Wakui away with his foot. Wakui's body flew like a ping pong ball. At that point, the fight was over. But I wasn't done yet. Grab the weapon. By weapon, I meant the Shibuya Earthquake Memorial, which had survived the impact of the jump and was sticking out of the ground near Giant Sumo Sticker Man's feet. He reached down and yanked it out of the earth. His eyes locked on Wakui as he flew through the air. This is it! Kazuki, we're gonna impale him! Giant Sumo Sticker Man flung back the arm holding the memorial. Kazuki's will and mind dwelt within the giant sumo wrestler's body. His arm snapped forwards. The memorial was flung like a spear. The spear instantly crossed the speed of sound. With a sonic boom, it smashed straight into Wakui and obliterated his body. And that was the end. The D-sword on my shoulder disappeared in a halo of light. Wakui was dead. He never had a chance. It was a one-sided slaughter. The giant sumo wrestler howled into the open air. He was a destructive monster. He was a brutal giant. We had created something that threatened to destroy the balance of the entire world. I looked up at the Hikariwo and saw Kurusu waving at us from the shattered sky lobby window. Wouldn't she be impacted by the sumo sticker too? Just don't worry about it. It's fine. We survived, huh? Yeah. For better or for worse, both Kazuki and I had survived. What awaited us now was a hell worse than anything we'd gone through so far. We might have brought this terror not only on ourselves, but to the entire world. Nothing about the world would ever be the same, and we'd be left to make our way in it, like lost and frightened children. Even without the Committee of 300's decision, Kazuki and I were enemies of the world for creating such a place. Maybe it would have been better if Wakui had killed us. There was that, and then the fact that I had no idea what we were going to do next, and then the fact that my shoulder was still bleeding and it hurt like hell, but... Kazuki was in my arms, looking relieved and at peace. So at least for this one moment, I could be grateful for the warmth I felt. That's what I thought. Definitely the strangest ending, yeah. Can hard say that was the weirdest ending. I'm sure we'll get some other shenaniganry after the credits. Can we skip it? Because we've seen these before. Okay, yeah, we've seen them before. That's probably the same thing as last time. The like, Taku, did you have fun? Deep Sky End. Hoo boy. Way nicer than what they did to Hina. Yeah! But they ruined the world. The world is now overrun with monsters, and everyone is probably going to be crushed to death. But you're right, they were less mean to the individual people, for sure. Wakui got dicked pretty hard, but he deserved it. For sure, deserved it, but like, he got vaporized by a giant sumo wrestler. Yeah, that was something. That was something. But that brings us to another ending. So tomorrow, we're going to start on non-specific Route 3, which apparently has 2 different endings. Apparently you only need one for the true ending, but it is recommended we see both, so we're going to see both. Because obviously. Oh, that was such a weird ending, though. Hina deserves better. They all deserve better. They all deserve better. Except Taku 1. Taku 1 should have shown up here and gotten killed, instead of anyone else. But so, okay, so if all these endings are still possible endings that could happen and not like just individual things, like if in the main route Wakui really was working for the Committee of 300 and so on and so forth, if this is all still taking place in the same and just, you know what I mean, then that means the Committee of 300 is aware of Taku 1 and is looking for him actively. Like, actively, Taku 1 is still around, causing them problems, and they are actively looking for him. Yeah. But yeah. Things are nuts. Tomorrow's gonna be nuts too, let's be honest here. No? Tomorrow we're going all positive as well, apparently. Ah, well, to start tomorrow's route, we have to go all negative and 1 positive to start down the route, and to get the first of the 2 endings, we do all positive once we're on the route. So this is something. That was such a strange ending. And tomorrow we'll see who the next ending is going to be. It's labeled as non-specific Route 3, so who knows? I would guess. I'm going to guess it's Nono. Just based off the knowledge that Nono will have an ending, let's be honest. So she's either non-specific Route 3 or non-specific Route 4. There's only those 2 options. I'm going to guess this one's Nono. And there's going to be the option to... I'm going to guess there's going to be probably the option to have the romantic route and a non-romantic route. It's my guess. I don't know that, though. And then the last one's gonna have to be Onoe, right? The last one's gotta be Onoe. It's either that or an Ito route. Those are our options. Oh, Kunosato. That's fair, too. Kunosato's gotta be one of them. I don't know, then. Maybe the true end is the, like, Onoe route. Or maybe the initial end was the Onoe route, for that matter. Let's be honest, that would fit. Her face isn't there, but, like, thematically... Basically. This is all just hypotheticals. But yeah, we're gonna find out more tomorrow, aren't we? Let's see if there's anyone who can raid tonight. It's a weekend, and we're ending a few minutes early anyway, so we can do that. Is anyone on? I know who I'm going to raid, even though I'm pretty sure they're going to end minutes after I raid them. But we didn't raid Jude last night because they were playing a game I was going to eventually play. They're playing Terraria tonight, a game which I have played plenty, so I don't have to worry about. So we're going to raid Jude. No, not the whole thing. I didn't mean to copy the whole thing. I always forget where the numbers are in Jude's full stream name, so I just copy it. There you go. Got ourselves a monster, a quote, a Discord. But are they shootable? Well, yes. And it's obviously got to be... And you know what? Looking for it the whole stream, it happens at the end.
Chaos, chaos.
Because of course it does. Because of course it does. Ah, man. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. We're doing more of this tomorrow. Monday's up in the air. I might do 20 Minutes to Dawn. I might do the Monster Hunter Sunbreak demo if that comes out, because we don't know. I'm hypothesizing it could, but yeah. Or it might be Horizon. I don't know. We'll see. Monday's kind of up in the air, which means Tuesday's up in the air. Thursday's going to be Scott Pilgrim, followed by something. We really don't have a lot of planned this week. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. It's fine. Whatever it is going to be fun. It's going to be good, but it's not really planned at the moment. But yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. This has been Vipers of Viperland, and I'll see you all next time. I've never left it on the menu this long. This is a different version of the menu music from Chaos Head now. The music that just started up. You didn't hear a lot of it when we did Chaos Head because I usually loaded right into it. But we're about to get the raid anyway, so see you all next time. Bye.